Benefiting the Living and the Dead, Chapter 7, Commentary. This chapter is beneficial to the living and the dead. How does it help the living? This part of the sutra text makes it clear. Sutra. At that time, Earth-store Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, World Honored One, I see that every single movement or stirring of thought on the part of beings of Jambudvipa is an offense. Beings tend to use up any wholesome benefits they accrue, and many of them end up retreating from their initial resolve. If they encounter evil conditions, they magnify them with every thought. They are like people trying to carry heavy rocks while walking through mud. Each step becomes more difficult, and the rocks more cumbersome as their feet sink deeper. If they meet a mentor, he may be strong enough to lighten or even totally remove their burdens. Helping them thus, the mentor will then advise them to stay on solid ground and be mindful never to go back into that treacherous path. Commentary. At that time, while the 7th chapter on benefiting the living and the dead is being explained, Earth-store Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, World Honored One, I see that every single movement or stirring of thought on the part of beings of Jambudvipa is an offense. What do beings of Jambudvipa think about? They think about that which is deviant, that which involves lust, that which they are greedy for, and that which they are selfish about. They are jealous and obstructive. When someone is better than me, I am jealous. For example, being jealous of someone more intelligent than me, or when someone is worse than me, I look down on them, thinking they are less than me, which is really stupid. We do not promote stupid individuals and are jealous of those who are wise. The right thing to do is to teach deluded individuals so that they become wise and intelligent. But people refuse to act this way. This is why every movement or stirring of thought is nothing but an offense. We do not act like bodhisattvas who are happy when other people are better than us. We respect them more instead of being jealous. We try to think of ways to make those who are worse than me on par with me. This would be the resolve of bodhisattvas. Since we did not develop resolves like bodhisattvas, all these thoughts are offenses. Beings tend to use up any wholesome benefits they accrue, and many of them end up retreating from their initial resolve. They throw away all their goodness. Perhaps they do some good deeds and wish to plant some good roots, but they do not last too long. They may study the Buddha Dharma for a year, then quit, study for 2 years, then stop, or retreat when encountering some state. Initially, they made the resolve to study the Buddha Dharma or live the home life, but after living the home life for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they feel that the monastic life is no big deal. 3 years of cultivation and still no enlightenment or certification to the fruition. It is probably hopeless. They retreat and return to lay life. This is for monastics. For lay Buddhists, after studying for a year, the Buddhas are before their eyes and near them. After 2 years of studying, the Buddhas are as far away as 18,000 miles. After 3 years of studying, the Buddhas are at the edge of the heavens. Most retreat from their initial resolve. Therefore, it is said, by not neglecting our initial resolve in cultivation, we have what is more than sufficient to become a Buddha. If we did not lose our initial thought of studying the Buddha Dharma or living the home life, then we would have become Buddhas long ago. Monastics must think, why did we live the home life? What is the difference between monastics and laity? For instance, lay people like to talk all day long, whereas monastics should speak less. Monastics may say things that are useful, otherwise it is best not to talk so much. As it is said, our energy scatters when we open our mouth, gossip occurs when we move our tongue. Gossip about right and wrong occurs when we talk a lot. Once there is right and wrong, we do not accord with the way. When our energy scatters, we do not accord with the way either. Cultivators must always watch over themselves and not over other people. That would be not retreating from our initial resolve. If we mostly retreat from our initially firm resolve, then we forget our resolve after a while. Many end up retreating from their initial resolves. If they encounter evil conditions, they increase such conditions with their every thought. They certainly do not retreat from such evil conditions. I encountered many people who cultivated with the utmost sincerity, but were affected by demonic states that they encountered. This is about evil conditions. In general, any condition that prevents you from cultivating is an evil condition. They magnify them with every thought. Cultivation requires the gathering of a body resolve that strengthens by the day. Resolve that weakens by the day is eventually lost. We usually do not increase our body resolve by the day, but we develop evil conditions that we encounter by the day. They are like a pupil trying to carry heavy ropes, like walking through mud. This is a semi is about pupil walking into mud, which is not so bad, except that they carry a big rock or some load that may be as heavy as 200 pounds. Walking in mud, one of their feet would sink in, and by the time one foot gets pulled out, the other foot sinks in so that they cannot walk anymore. They have an extremely difficult time in the mud. One foot out and the other foot is in. The other foot is out and this foot sinks in. They may still walk if they do not have anything heavy with them, but they do have an extremely heavy load on them, which is their evil karma. What is mud? It is the three evil paths. Each step becomes more difficult. The weight of each step increases, and the ropes are more cumbersome as their feet sink deeper with each step. What shall they do? If they meet a mentor, he, a Buddha, a Bodhisattva, or an extremely wise teacher may be strong enough to lighten or even totally remove their heavy burdens. Since they cannot proceed with such a load, they need a good teacher who can help them lighten their load, carry half of their load or their entire load. Helping them thus, the powerful mentor will then help them and advise them to stay on solid ground. Be careful and take steady steps, and be mindful never to go back into that treacherous path. When they reach level ground, they must reflect and not walk down evil paths of the past. Avoid the mud and dangerous paths. Sutra. World Honored One. The bad habits of beings range from minor to major. Since all beings have such habits, their families or relatives should create blessings for them when they are on the verge of dying in order to assist them on the road ahead. That may be done by hanging banners and canopies, lighting oil lamps, reciting the sacred sutras, and making offerings before the images of Buddhas or sages. Another way to assist them is by reciting the names of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and practical Buddhas, so that the recitation of each name passes by the ear of the dying one and is heard in his fundamental consciousness. Suppose the evil karma created by beings was such that they ought to fall into the bad destinies. If their relatives cultivate wholesome qualities on their behalf when they are close to death, then their manifold offenses can be resolved. If relatives can further do many good deeds during the first 49 days after the death of such beings, then the deceased can leave the evil destinies forever, be born as humans and gods, and receive supremely wonderful bliss. Commentary. Earth-store Bodhisattva again called out, World Honored One, the bad habits of all beings range from minor to major, possibly infinite. Since all beings have such habits, their families or relatives should create blessings for them when they are on the verge of dying in order to assist them on the road ahead. At the brink of death, their parents or family should create blessings for them to help them proceed on to the road ahead, which may be their house, the human realm. Regardless of their destiny, they are benefited. That may be done by hanging banners and canopies, lighting oil lamps before the Buddhas, reciting the sacred sutras such as the Earth-store Sutra, the Vows Sutra, and the Mahayana Sutras, and help them by making offerings before the images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Arhats, or sages. Another way to assist them is by reciting the names of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Pratyeka Buddhas, those who enlighten to conditions, so that the recitation of each name of the Buddha, Bodhisattva, or Pratyeka Buddha passes by the ear of the dying one and is heard clearly in his fundamental consciousness. Make him hear it clearly before he passes away and before his consciousness fails. The fundamental consciousness refers to the eighth consciousness, which is the last to leave the body and the first to enter it. One verse goes, the inexhaustible and vast triple treasury in the deep pool, the waves of the seventh come blowing like a wind before our eyes, permeated with seeds from the senses, the body, and the environment. It is the host who leaves last and enters first. At the time of birth and death, the eighth consciousness leaves last and comes first. The eighth consciousness commands our false thinking, making it the host. The fundamental consciousness in the sutra text is referring to the eighth consciousness. When all the consciousnesses have dispersed and left, the eye consciousness disappears, the ear consciousness is unable to hear, the nose consciousness, the tongue consciousness, the body consciousness, the mind consciousness all disappear, except for the eighth consciousness. Recite the sutras, the Buddha's name, or create some merit for someone at the point where the eighth consciousness has not yet left, so fundamental consciousness hears it. Suppose the evil karma and offenses created by beings were such that they ought to fall into the bad destinies. Counting up the evil karma they did in their lives and the retribution they deserve, they will definitely fall into their three evil destinies. If their relatives cultivate wholesome causes and do various good deeds on their behalf, on behalf of the dying family member, for instance, when they are close to death, then their manifold offenses as described can be completely and utterly dissolved so that nothing remains. If relatives can further do many good deeds during the first 49 days after the death of such beings, then the deceased can leave the evil destinies forever, be born as humans and gods, and receive supremely wonderful bliss. The 7 weeks after death, the deceased is under evaluation in their house, and their offenses have not yet been determined. Were we to do good deeds for such evil beings during that period of time, they will leave the house, the realm of hungry ghosts, and the realm of animals forever. They will become reborn in the human realm or the heavens and enjoy extremely wondrous happiness. Sutra, their surviving relatives will also receive limitless benefits. Therefore, before the Buddha's world-honored ones, as well as before the gods, dragons, and the rest of the Eightfold Division, humans and non-humans, I now exhort beings of Jambudvipa to be careful to avoid harming, killing, and doing other unwholesome deeds, to refrain from worshipping ghosts and spirits or making sacrifices to them, and never to call on mountains bright on the day of death. Why is that? Killing, harming, and making sacrifices do not even have a tiny hairbreadth of power with which to benefit the deceased. Such acts only bind up the conditions of offenses so that they grow ever deeper and heavier. The deceased might have been due to increase his potential for sexual organ birth among humans or gods in his next life or in the future. But if his family commits offenses in his name, his good rebirth will be delayed. How much more would that be the case for people on the verge of death who during their lives had failed to plant even a few good roots? Each offender has to undergo the bad destinies according to his own karma. How could anyone bear to have relatives add to that karma? That would be like having a neighbor adds a few more things to a load of over 100 pounds being carried by someone who had already traveled a long distance and who had not eaten for 3 days. If that extra weight were added, that person's burden would become even more unbearable. Commentary. Their surviving relatives will also receive limitless benefits. If family members of the deceased can recite the names of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Bodhisattva, Arhats, Pratika Buddhas, or any sutra, then not only will the deceased enjoy extremely wondrous joy, but his living family members will also acquire boundless benefits. Therefore, before the Buddhas, world honored ones, as well as before the gods, dragons, and the rest of the Eightfold Division, including Yakshas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, and Maharagas, humans and non-humans, out of compassion, and now exhort beings of Jambudvipa to be careful to avoid harming, killing, and doing other unwholesome deeds, to refrain from worshipping ghosts and spirits or making sacrifices to them, and never to call on mountains brides and water monsters on the day of death. Here is the verse for everyone. The verse goes, some confused individuals are not at peace, which means they do things inappropriately or poorly. They pray to spirits by sacrificing swan and sheep. China has a deleterious custom that the West is free of. What is that? The Chinese refer to funerals as white events and mariages as red events. White events are deaths and red events are congratulatory occasions. Whether it's death or marriage, the Chinese will slaughter animals such as chickens and ducks and offer them to ghosts and spirits. Have you not seen people bring chickens to temples for local city gods? These things are inappropriate and do not accord with the Dharma. They pray before images of gods, saying, please bless my deceased father or mother, older or younger brother, so that he or she does not fall into their house. After a few days, I will kill a pig or a sheep as an offering to you. The swine or sheep is their pet. Karma of resentment comes from killing in past lives. Killing is a type of karma that creates resentment. Having killed in past lives, you kill again in this lifetime. Originally, the resentment from killing was created in lives past, but further killing in this lifetime is like adding another layer of frost on top of snow, like a frost added on prior snow. The snow earlier was already cold, but now another layer of frost is added on top, so it is even colder. Frost is that which forms before a snowfall. Do not mistake swine and sheep for what they are. Do not be too sure that swine is swine and sheep is sheep. For a few thousand times, they have changed faces. These pigs and lambs come from people. People can become pigs and pigs can become people. Did you notice? Those in a country who enjoy eating pork look like pigs. Those in a country who enjoy eating beef will have eyes like a cow's. In general, people in a certain country will look like whatever they enjoy eating. For instance, the Thais do not like to eat pork or mutton, but they like eating frog meat, which is why the Thais have eyes similar to frogs. People of each country have affinities with a certain species, so we do not know how many times people have changed their faces. Like cart wheels that turn and return to repay. The wheels of a car turn and turn. The Shuragama Sutra says that sheep can become people again. Since sheep can become people, why is that? Why is it that pigs cannot become people? Why not only can sheep and swine become people, any creature can become human by changing the shell of their body. You do not recognize them because they have changed bodies. The spirit moves from a human body to a pig's body, from a pig's body to a human body. They exchange houses. This is like us moving from some high-class skyscraper to wooden shacks, the area with the worst housing. As human beings, it is as if we are living in high rises, but when you become pigs or lambs, it is as if you are living in some small wooden shack, some dilapidated houses. Hence it says, like cartwheels that turn and return to repay, sees a cloud soar the sky so that there is nowhere to hide. Someone who does not understand considers different living beings, individual species. Someone who has the power to know past lives know that all beings are connected in this great ocean of space, including places where no one sees. Imperceptible sees a cloud soar into the sky so that there's nowhere to hide. No one can hide from cause and effect because they exist forever in space. You reap whatever affects your soul. There will be a consequence for killing. Whatever karma you did exists, so do not bother praying to ghosts and spirits. Why is that? Killing, harming, and making sacrifices do not even have a tiny hairbreadth of power with which to benefit the deceased. The swine and sheep you killed and harmed, the evil ghosts and devil spirits that you worship do not have the deceased a bit. Such acts only bind up the conditions of offenses so that they grow ever deeper and heavier. The deceased might have been due to increase his potential for sagehood or gain birth among humans or gods in his next life or in the future. Someone who in this life or in the next life receives the benefits of your created merit, he or she will become reborn in the human realm or the heavens. But if his family commits offenses in his name, his good rebirth will be negatively impacted, debated about, and delayed. The deceased will be negatively affected. He goes to the house to argue with Lord Yama. For instance, Lord Yama says, on your behalf, your family members slaughtered and offered many pigs to ghosts and spirits. The deceased will definitely argue, that is none of my business. I did not tell them to kill. I cannot do anything about their killing. They hold a debate there. Unfortunately, there are no defense attorneys in the house, so they must argue for themselves. They should have been reborn in the heavens quickly, but with their families delayed them for a long time. How much more would that be the case for people on the verge of death who during their lives had failed to plant even a few good roots? Each offender has to undergo the bad destinies according to his own karma. How could anyone bear to have relatives add to that karma? So, we should not kill or do evil for someone who passed away. We should be vegetarians, recite the Buddha's name, and recite the sutras. For instance, that would be like having a neighbor ask a few more things to a load of over 100 pounds being carried by someone who had already traveled a long distance and who had not eaten for 3 days. If that extra weight were added, that person's burden would become even more unbearable. The additional items from the neighbor all of a sudden increased his load. Originally, this individual has offense karma, so you should create blessings for him to reduce his offense karma. But not only do you not create blessings for him, but you kill on his behalf. He was already unable to walk from carrying so much stuff and not eating for 3 days, and yet you now add some more items to his increasingly heavy burden. This is analogous to how someone should fall into the house, but you kill on his behalf so that his stay in the house lengthens. We talked about how someone who is carrying a load of over 100 pounds had traveled a long distance and had not eaten for 3 days. If he suddenly meets a neighbor who add a few more things for him, then his burden becomes even heavier and unbearable. The load the man carries represents the 5 skandhas. The 100-pound load represents the 10 evils. Encountering a neighbor all of a sudden is a symbolic of his family members who have him slaughter swine and sheep. The few more items added are his increasingly heavy offense karma. His burden becomes heavier and his offense karma becomes heavier. Sutra. World Honored One, I see that beings of Jambudvipa will themselves receive the benefit of any good deeds they are able to do that accord with the Buddha's teachings. That holds true even when the deeds are as small as a strand of hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, or a mote of dust. After that had been said, an elder named Great Eloquence rose in the assembly. He had realized non-production long ago and was appearing in the body of an elder, only to teach and transform those in the 10 directions. Commentary. World Honored One, I see that beings of Jambudvipa will themselves receive the benefit of any good deeds they are able to do that accord with the Buddha's teachings. That holds true even when the deeds are as small as a strand of hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, or a mote of dust. After that had been said, an affluent elder named Great Eloquence, because he is replete with the 4 obstructed eloquences of meaning, of Dharma, of phrasing, and of delight in speaking, rose in the assembly. He had realized non-production, the fruition of Nirvana, long ago, and was appearing in the body of an extremely affluent elder, only to teach and transform those in the 10 directions. Sutra. Putting his palms together respectfully, he asked Earth-Star Bodhisattva, Great Lord, after people in Jambudvipa die and their close and distant relatives cultivate merit and making vegetarian meal offerings and doing other such good deeds, will the deceased obtain merit and virtue significant enough to bring about their liberation? Earth-Star replied, Elder, based on the awesome power of the Buddhas, I will now expound this principle for the sake of well-being of the present and future. Elder, if beings of the present and future, when on the verge of dying, hear the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one Pratika Buddha, they will attain liberation, whether they have committed offenses or not. Commentary. Putting his palms together respectfully, he, the elder, asked Earth-Star Bodhisattva, Great Lord, after people in Jambudvipa die and their close and distant relatives cultivate merit by making vegetarian meal offerings for the triple jewel and doing other such good deeds, will the deceased obtain merit and virtue significant enough to bring about their liberation, being freed of their offense karma? Bodhisattva replied, Elder, based on the awesome power of the Buddhas, you see, Bodhisattva does not claim that he has any great awesome spiritual power. Instead, he says, based on the Buddha's great awesome spiritual power. Why? This means that he respects the Buddha, so always names the Buddha before himself. I will now expound this principle briefly for the sake of beings in the present and future. Elder, Bodhisattva calls out again. If beings of the present and future, when on the verge of dying, hear the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one practical Buddha, one who enlightens two conditions, they will attain total liberation whether they have committed offenses or not. How come one can eliminate his offense karma by hearing the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one practical Buddha at the time of death? It is because at the time of death, one's life source, composed of warmth, breath, and consciousness, ends. One's life source ends in this order. First, there is no warmth, then no breath, then consciousness leaves. When these three things end for someone, his life ends. Someone dies when his life source ends. When a bird is about to die, his chirpings are sad too. When a person is about to die, his words are kind too. At the time of death, people discover their concerns, hence noticing and reflecting on everything they did right and wrong. They know where they were really wrong and become penitent. Once they are repentant, then even if they only hear the name of one Buddha, one Bodhisattva, or one practical Buddha, they will eliminate endless offenses, good rules, and offenses. The time of death is most critical. It is precisely at this time that good thoughts come forth. Why do we usually recite the Buddha's name? We recite homage to Amitabha Buddha to prepare ourselves from forgetting at the time of death. Since we typically recite, we will not forget at the time of death. If you wait until the time of death to recite and develop good thoughts, then it will be difficult. Of course, if such good thoughts do occur, they will be very effective. As long as you are repentant, all offenses are eliminated. Sutra, when men or women laden with offenses who fail to plant good causes die, even they can receive 1/7 of any merit dedicated to them by relatives who do good deeds on their behalf. The other 6/7 of the merit will return to the living relatives who did the good deeds. It follows that good men and women of the present and future will cultivate, while they are strong and healthy, will receive all of the benefits derived. The arrival of the great ghost of impermanence is so unexpected that the deceased one's consciousness is first wrung in darkness and obscurity, unaware of offenses and blessings. For 49 days, the deceased are as if deluded or deaf, or as if in courts where their karmic retributions are being decided. Once judgment is fixed, they are reborn according to their karma in the time before rebirths are determined. The deceased suffer from thousands upon thousands of anxieties. How much more is that the case for those who are so fallen into the bad destinies? Throughout 49 days, those whose lives have ended and who have not yet been reborn will be hoping every moment that their immediate relatives can earn blessings powerful enough to rescue them. At the end of that time, the deceased will undergo retribution according to their karma. If someone is an offender, he may pass through hundreds of thousands of years without even a day's liberation. If someone's offenses deserve fivefold relentless retribution, he will fall into the great hells and undergo incessant suffering throughout hundreds of millions of years. Commentary. When men or women who practice the 5 precepts and the 10 goodnesses laden with offenses who failed to plant good causes die, even they can receive 1/7 of any merit dedicated to them by relatives who do good deeds on their behalf. Although they received the 5 precepts and the 10 goodnesses, they do not create any good causes or do good deeds. They create many offenses. If after their death, their relatives create some small amounts or large amounts of blessings for them. Among the sacred deeds or good deeds done, the deceased can receive 1 ounce of 7 portions. The other 6/7 of the merit will return to the living relatives who did the good deeds. It follows that good men and women of the present and future who cultivate while they are strong and healthy will receive all of the benefit derived in their present lifetime. They receive every part of the merit that they did while they were alive. The arrival of the great ghost of impermanence is so unexpected that the deceased one's consciousness is first wrapped in darkness and obscurity, unaware of offenses and blessings. What is the ghost of impermanence? When he arrives, you are no longer permanent. But you do not know when the ghost of impermanence will arrive. One's consciousness or soul, which is the body between skandhas or existence, travels about. The 12 causal links are ignorance conditions activity, activity conditions consciousness, consciousness conditions name and form conditions the 6 entrances, the 6 entrances condition contact, contact conditions feeling, feeling conditions love conditions grasping, grasping conditions existence, existence conditions birth, birth conditions old age and death. The existence in the body between existences is the existence in existence conditions birth. The prior 5 skandhas have ceased, while the 5 skandhas to come have not yet occurred. In between the prior and later 5 skandhas is a body between skandhas. This body sees the great earth like ink devoid of light from the sun and moon. Hence, its consciousness roams about in darkness and obscurity, unaware of whether it is creating offenses or accruing blessings. For 49 days, the deceased are as if deluded or deaf, or as if in courts where their karmic retributions are being decided. Due to the Buddhist teachings, the Chinese will avoid Buddhist monastics or Taoists to recite sutras to save the deceased. Since the Earth Sutra makes it clear that the deceased is as if deaf and dumb during these 7 weeks. The house do not have only 1 king Yama, but 10. One of each hall of the house, each lord of the underworld supervises many departments and 5 officers. 1 on the prohibition of killing, 1 on the prohibition of stealing, 1 on the prohibition of sexual conduct, 1 on the prohibition of double-tongued speech, and 1 on the prohibition of intoxicants. These 5 officers are in charge of all the offenses that one has created. The deceased goes on trial and debates with an officer depending on the category of offenses he or she committed. When judgment is fixed, they are reborn according to their karma. Once their future retribution is determined according to the karma they created, they go on to face their retribution. In the time of rebirths are determined, the deceased suffer from thousands upon thousands of anxieties. they are really worried and concerned about because they do not know whether they will become ox or horses, swine or sheep, humans or what. Hence, they are extremely sad and suffer. How much more is that the case for those who are fallen into the bad destinies? Not to mention those who have already fallen into the evil destinies of hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals. Throughout the 49 days, those whose lives have ended and who have not yet been reborn will be hoping every moment that blessing immediate relatives will earn blessings powerful enough to rescue them, such as reciting the Earth Store Sutra, bow the Earth Store Repentance, bow to Earth Store Bodhisattva, create various blessings, or make offerings to the Triple Jewel. At the end of that time, the deceased will undergo retribution according to their karma. If someone is an offender, he may pass through hundreds of thousands of years even without even a day's liberation. If someone's offenses deserve fivefold relentless retribution, he will fall into the great hells such as the 8 cold hells, the 8 hot hells, and others, and undergo incessant suffering throughout hundreds of millions of ants, especially is essentially in the hells forever. Someone who has committed 5 extremely evil offenses, such as murdering one's father, murdering one's mother, murdering an heart, shedding the blood of a Buddha, or ruining the harmony of the Sangha, then one will fall into the relentless hells and suffer relentlessly. The 5-fold relentless retribution are 1. Relentless in terms of time, from entering the hells at first to the end of the stay, there is not a moment when suffering pauses. 2. Relentless in terms of form. Someone sees his body as well as many individuals' bodies, filling up the entire hell simultaneously. 3. Relentless in terms of suffering, since entering the hells, all the punishments using various instruments and implements to quit. 4. Relentless in terms of life, the offender's lives can be one day and a night, numerous cycles of birth and death, feel relentless in the hells. 5. Relentless in terms of retribution. The retribution they face never ceases. Sutra. Moreover, elder, when beings who have committed karmic offenses die, their relatives may prepare vegetarian offerings to aid them on their karmic paths. In the process of preparing the vegetarian meal, and before it has been eaten, right washing water and vegetable leaves should not be thrown on the ground. Before the food is offered to the Buddhas and the Sangha, no one should eat it. If there is laxness or transgression in this matter, then the deceased will receive no strength from it. But if purity is rigorously maintained in making the offerings to the Buddhas and the Sangha, the deceased will receive 1/7 of the merit. Therefore, elder, by performing vegetarian offerings on behalf of deceased fathers, mothers, and other relatives, while making earnest supplication on their behalf, beings of Jambudvipa benefit both the living and the dead. After that was said, thousands of billions of nayutas of ghosts and spirits of Jambudvipa, who were in the palace of the Trayastrimsha Heaven, made the unlimited resolve to attain Bodhi. The elder great eloquence made obeisance and withdrew. Commentary. Earth Store Bodhisattva again told the elder, Moreover, elder, let me explain in detail for you as described earlier. When beings who have committed karmic offenses die, Their family, friends, and relatives may prepare fine vegetarian offerings for the troubledoers who aid them on their karmic paths. They help to reduce their evil karma in the process of preparing the vegetarian meal and before it has been eaten. Rice, washing water, and vegetable leaves should not be thrown on the ground and wasted. Before the food is offered to the Buddhas and the Sangha, no one should eat it. This is why whatever is made in the temples or Buddha home must be offered to the Buddhas first. We are supposed to make some delicious foods to offer the Buddhas on the Buddha's birthday. People can only eat the food after it has been offered to the Buddhas. In China, offerings to the Buddhas are sometimes done with 3 bowls of rice and vegetables. They are placed squarely before the Buddhas instead of set aside casually. The 3 bowls need to be placed in the middle and neatly. The fruits too. Nothing else can be set down on the place where offerings for the Buddhas go. This is a form of respect. If you set things down casually, that is a sign of disrespect toward the Buddhas. Why? For instance, you put a bunch of things in a mess before someone. He will not be happy. People who are careless casually and live like a swan may be okay with it, but put a mess in front of someone who is neat and clean will make him upset. The Buddhas are very clean, so it is wrong for you to put a mess in front of the Buddhas. We can only place offerings of fruits and vegetables before the Buddhas and not anything else. Besides offerings with 3 bowls, there are also offerings using 5 bowls, 7 bowls, 9 bowls, or many bowls. Especially on days for offerings, several tables before the Buddhas are full with vegetarian dishes neatly lined up for the Buddhas. We do not just place a huge pile of something somewhere or leave a bag of unopened cookies before the Buddhas. That is not an offering to the Buddhas, but an insult to the Buddhas. Open or uncover offerings to the Buddhas rather than just leave them there wrapped in paper. That would not be an offering to the Buddhas. It is impolite to just leave things there. Even with people, you do not just set things down and say, eat. They will not eat it. In Chinese has a phrase, a gentleman does not eat food thrown at him. For instance, someone gives food to a beggar but condescendingly yells, hey, eat it. He will refuse the food thrown rudely at him, not to mention offerings to the Buddhas, sometimes left in closed bags. I have seen it many times, but I do not have so much time to explain these things. Now that the Buddha Dharma has come to the West, we must know about the ceremonies and the looks of them. Offering bowls must be squarely and neatly placed. Fruit offerings and vases must be placed properly. For instance, vases should balance each other. It does not look good if you should have one here, but you place it somewhere else. There are rules to everything. How can we handle all these rules? If you cannot handle it, do not cultivate. Cultivation requires us to accord with the Dharma and to observe the rules. Furthermore, there are rules for monastics and there are rules for laity. Having left the home life, the senior disciple must listen to the master. The disciple second in seniority must listen to the most senior disciple. The disciple third in seniority must listen to the disciples first and second in seniority. We cannot dismiss our teachers and elders so that the senior disciple rejects the master's teachings. The disciple second in seniority must listen to his elder brother's teachings instead of slighting his fellow cultivator. The disciple third in seniority must obey the ones first and second in seniority. Do what the first and second in seniority ask you to do. If you refuse, then you are not following the rules. Do not do anything that you are not told, otherwise you are unruly too. There must be teachers and elders in the Buddha Dharma, in fact, that you cannot dismiss. Someone who left the home life one day later than you is a junior to you, while someone who left the home life one day earlier than you is a senior to you. Whoever left the home life first is older. Whoever left the home later is younger, regardless of your age. You can be 100 years old, but if you leave the home life later, you are junior. You can be 1 year old, but if you left the home life first, you are senior. The day you left the home life is your birthday in leaving the home life. At the time of your death, you must count up the number of your precept years. For instance, you may be 60 years of age, but you have 40 precept years. Whoever receives the precepts first is senior. Even during the same ordination, those who receive the precepts before you during the platform are your senior precept brothers. Those who receive the precepts later than you are your junior precept brothers. However, during the precept platform, everyone simply calls each other precept brothers instead of saying junior precept brother. Everyone is so polite that even if you are junior, you are called an elder precept brother. Also, your novices, young novices, must listen to the direction of more senior novices. Refusing to listen is insubordination, a sign of unfiliality. Buddhist monastic rules emphasize a hierarchical order based on seniority and status. You cannot be the way you are at home. I usually do not have time to explain these rules for offerings to the Buddhas, so we have been casual. I was checking to see whether you are really stupid or wise. Wise individuals do not need to be taught. I never had anybody teach me, but I can tell right away. Idiots will not remember even if you teach them. Everything at all times and places show whether someone is wise. Before food is offered to the Buddha and the Sangha, do not eat it first. This is why lay people must wait until food is offered to the Buddhas before they can eat the food in the temple. They have to wait until the monastics come and everyone eats together. Do not eat before the monastics. That is not allowed. Things should be offered to the Buddha and the Tripura in this manner. If there is laxness or transgression in this matter, by not paying attention, not doing a good job, or being casual, then the deceased will receive no strength from it. Do not make offerings to the Tripura in a sloppy manner, because that way the deceased will not gain anything by it. But if purity is rigorously maintained in making the offering to the Buddhas and the Sangha, the deceased will receive 1/7 of the merit. Offerings must be done respectfully. I recall during the passing of offerings last year, everyone knelt to pass the offering and vegetarian food in bowls and placed to one another in turn and then place them before the Buddhas. In the temple, everyone earnestly makes offerings to the Buddhas with numerous vegetarian dishes, possibly several dozen or 100 kinds. All these are placed in square plates and passed about. Some make offerings with recitation beads, some with clothes. Anything can be offerings to the Buddhas as long as it is new and good. Do not offer the Buddhas your unwanted items, rotten or bad goods. For example, someone bought some partly to offer the Buddhas, but kept the tender and nice ones for himself, while giving me the tough and hard to chew. It does mean that he made offerings and it is not completely devoid of merit and virtue. But this is why we talk about being diligent, pay attention, and taking care to make these offerings to the Buddhas and the Sangha on behalf of the deceased. Out of the 7 portions of merit, the deceased will receive 1 portion, while the other 6 portions are received by the living. Therefore, elder, by performing sincere vegetarian offerings for the triple jewel on behalf of deceased fathers, mothers, and other relatives, while making earnest supplication on their behalf, all beings of Southern Jambudvipa benefit both the living and the dead. After that was said, thousands of billions of Narutas of ghosts and spirits of Jambudvipa, who were in the palace of the Trayastrimsha Heaven, made a unlimited resolve to attain Bodhi, Anuttara Samyak Sambuddhi. The elder, great eloquence, made obeisance to Earth's Bodhisattva and Shakyamuni Buddha and withdrew to the side. Not only should monastics bow to their master, the junior monastics should also bow to the seniors. Conversely, in American families, parents and siblings do not bother with one or each other at all. I do not care about you and you do not watch over me. You have to be this way because you are junior. Who told you to be junior? Who told you live the whole life later? Since you left the whole life later, you have to respect your elders. It is a transgression not to respect your seniors, which is a violation of Buddhist rules that deserves death by fire in the future. Praises of Lord Yama and his followers. Chapter 8. Lord Yama and his followers. Just the sound of this seems scary. Yama is a Sanskrit word that means ghost king. The Chinese or the Indians consider Southern Jambudvipa to consist of 10 Yama lords in Asia. But this sutra is actually referring to more than the Yama lords in China, India, or Asia in general. It is referring to all the Yama lords throughout the universe. There is a Lord Yama in each world, so there is infinitely many Yama lords. Some Yama lords come from other worlds, some come from certain planets, some come from the moon, some come from other iron ring mountain. In short, where there are human beings, there are Yama lords. Where there are no human beings, there are no Yama lords. How come? Without humans, there are no ghosts. Without ghosts, there are no Buddhas. That would be a world without Buddhas. Since that world has no Buddhas, it has no Yama lords. The key lies with humans. Without human beings, there is nothing. Human beings control the world, create everything, are in need of everything, and use everything. Without people, essentially, there would be no Buddhas, no Bodhisattvas, no hungry ghosts, no animals, and not anything in this world. Everything is made by people. What made people? People are made from the mind. Not only does the mind create people, but the mind can also create heaven and earth, hungry ghosts and animals, and everything else. The 10 Dharma realms are made from the mind alone. The mind creates the 10 Dharma realms and destroys the 10 Dharma realms too. The Amitabha Sutra says, everyone who wishes to know all Buddhas throughout the 3 periods of time should contemplate the nature of the Dharma realm. Everything is made from the mind alone. Our mind consists of as many miscellaneous thoughts as waves on water. These miscellaneous thoughts express all the mountains, rivers, and great earth in the world. Everything is created by people's false thoughts. People's false thoughts are as numerous as dust motes. They are dust motes outside because we have false thoughts inside. Without false thoughts inside, the dust motes outside are empty. Even the atoms that compose the dust motes are empty. Wherever there are human beings, there are ghosts, there are Buddhas, and hence there are Yama lords. Not only are there Yama lords, but his followers too. Praises. What does this chapter praise? It praises the great awesome might of Earth's Bodhisattva's inconceivable wisdom and states. This is the 8th chapter in this sutra. At that time, from within the Iron Ring Mountain, Lord Yama and his following of infinite gods, kings, came before the Buddha in the Trayastrimsha Heaven. They were the Ghost King Evil Poison, the Ghost King Many Evils, the Ghost King Great Argument, the Ghost King White Tiger, the Ghost King Blood Tiger, the Ghost King Crimson Tiger, the Ghost King Spreading Disaster, the Ghost King Flying Body, the Ghost King Lightning Flash, the Ghost King Wolf Tooth, the Ghost King Thousand Eyes, the Ghost King Animal Eater, the Ghost King Rock Bearer, the Ghost King Lord of Bad News, the Ghost King Lord of Calamities, the Ghost King Lord of Food, the Ghost King Lord of Wealth, the Ghost King Lord of Domestic Animals, the Ghost King Lord of Birds, the Ghost King Lord of Beasts, the Ghost King Lord of Mountain Sprites, the Ghost King Lord of Birth, the Ghost King Lord of Life, the Ghost King Lord of Sickness, the Ghost King Lord of Danger, the Ghost King Three Eyes, the Ghost King Four Eyes, the Ghost King Five Eyes, the Ghost King Chili Shu, the Great Ghost King Chili Shu, the Ghost King Chili Cha, the Great Ghost King Chili Cha, the Ghost King Nur Cha, the Great Ghost King Nur Cha, and other such great ghost kings. With them were hundreds of thousands of minor ghost kings who dwelt throughout Jambudvipa, each presiding over certain jurisdictions. Commentary. At that time, from within the Iron Ring Mountain, in the sea of flower treasury worlds, human beings live in the lotus banner world on the 33rd layer. There are 7 gold mountains outside the lotus banner world. Outside of the 7 gold mountains, there are 7 fragrant seas. This Iron Ring Mountain composed of metallic matter sits outside of the 7 fragrant seas. In this Iron Ring Mountain, there are Lord Yama in his following of infinite ghost kings. Lord Yama is like Jesus in saying that he is the Son of God. He also calls himself the Son of God. An emperor in the human realm also refers to himself as the Son of God. But which Son of God is it, greater or lesser? There is not anyone that is greater or lesser who named them sons of God. The Buddha acknowledged that a Yama Lord would be a son of God. The Buddha also acknowledged that an emperor can call himself a son of God. Jesus is the only one who bestowed a title on himself. Indulging in his fancies, he named himself Son of God. No one will object if I say I am the Son of God, but I do not enjoy being Son of God. It is not worth it. Why does Lord Yama like this unworthy title? It is because that is his business. After Buddhist monks are ordained as bishops and receive their precepts, they are teachers for gods and humans. They are the master in the heavens and human realm. Not only can they be sons of gods, they can be the grand master of sons of gods, which is why I say that title is not worth much. They came before the Buddha in the Trayastrimsha Heaven, since the Buddha was speaking the Dharma for his mother in the Trayastrimsha Heaven. Lord Yama and Ghost Kings came here to listen to the sutra. They were the Ghost King Evil Poison. Among the Ghost Kings, there is one called Ghost King Evil Poison. This Ghost King is the worst. How? He is extremely vicious, evil, and venomous. He wants to swallow any big disease in one gulp. Is he not harsh? He is mean in thought and vicious in speech. which means that he deals with bad people rather than good people. Bad people mean psychologically and mean verbally, so they can only be dealt with through viciousness and meanness. You are evil, but he is even more evil than you. You are venomous, but he is even more venomous than you. Do not think this God King evil poison is someone we need to fear. Do not be afraid. As long as you recite the Buddha's name, he will be respectful. If you do not recite the Buddha's name, his hatred will arise. Once you recite the Buddha's name, he will not be evil anymore. Once you recite the sutras, he becomes good too. So, no need to be afraid of him as long as you recite the Buddha's name, recite the sutra, develop the resolve for Bodhi, and however evil he may be, he no longer will be. And however venomous he may be, he no longer will be. He turns into a Dharma protector. Why? The God's King evil poison appears to look like an evil and poisonous God's King, but has a heart of a Bodhisattva's compassion. He uses corrupt and vicious methods to save living beings. Otherwise, why would be he with son of God Yama? Son of God Yama does the same. Although this God's King is named evil poison, he is not really evil and poisonous. He is respectful to Buddhists, so do not be afraid of him. If you mention my name in particular, saying, my master is so and so, he will definitely give you face. Why? I signed a contract with him. I said, as long as any of my disciples come to you and mention my name, you must hand all their offenses to me. As long as you mention me, I guarantee he will not poison you. The God's King many evils. Although God's King evil poison is evil and poisonous, he is not evil enough and not poisonous enough. There is also the God's King many evils who incurs countless evils to counteract living beings who do countless evils. I believe all of you have not changed your forms for the better so that you will not be so evil. How is this God's King many evils evil? He does things such as murdering his father, murdering his mother, murdering our hearts, wrecking the harmony of the Sangha, and shedding the blood of a Buddha. The God's King great argument. In just debates in particular, he can provide an argument where there is no argument to speak of. He counteracts unreasonable debaters who insist that they have a good reason. They obviously broke the precepts, but they say they did not. They lie and cheat others. This God's King great argument deals with this type of pupil, so be careful. Remember not to see the God's King great argument, because when you do, you will see anything basis for your argument, because he is great at arguing. The God's King white tiger. This God's King has the body of ghost but the head of a white tiger. The God's King black tiger has a tiger head that is bleeding. The God's King crimson tiger is a red oliver and has the head of a tiger. Why do these God's Kings have tiger heads? They want to look beastly and horrifying so that anyone who has committed the 10 evils and the 5 rebellious acts will tremble in fear. The God's Kings spreading disaster. Disasters are inauspicious events. He makes these things happen to you. Accidents, thefts, fights, and others result as a part of cause and effect. Everything has its cause and effect. Results occur due to some cause. The God's King flying body. This God's King can fly anywhere without having to buy an air ticket or a ride on a rocket. He can fly faster than a rocket. Anyone who wants to learn to fly should go and find the God Ghost King flying body. This Ghost King has such great skills. The Ghost King lightning fast. His eyes are as bright as a lightning flash. The Ghost King Wolf Tooth. This Ghost King has the vicious wolf-like teeth grown outside of his mouth. The Ghost King Thousand Eyes does not have the same eyes as a thousand-handed and thousand-yelled Bodhisattva. This type of ghost has a lot of horns on them. These horns are similar to ox horns, but on each tip of the horn is an eye. How is the eye grown? It is concave and grows out of the bone. There is no flesh around the eye, only an eye inset in his body. So when you look over, it is like a really bright flash of light. The Ghost King Animal Eater. What does this Ghost King eat in particular? It eats animals. What kind of animals? It may eat tigers or any animal that is vicious. The Ghost King Rock Bearer. To show how strong he is, this type of Ghost King carries a rock as heavy as several tens of thousands of pounds. When he sees someone who has committed offenses, he smashes the person with this large piece of rock so that his person is flattened into a real thin pancake. The Ghost King Lord of Bad News always delivers bad news. When you are sleeping, he tells in your dream, "Did you know you're going to die tomorrow? You only have 2 days left to live." He delivers a letter of bad news to you in the form of nightmare. The Ghost King Lord of Calamities not only delivers bad news in a letter, but actually makes some calamity happen to you. Accidents such as car accidents, sunken ships, air crashes, and the like. The Ghost King Lord of Food. What you eat each day is fixed. The story I told about the supervisor over food is a true one. What dishes we eat and what they are made of are all fixed. What we eat tomorrow is fixed too. Imperceptibly, someone is assigning these portions to you. The Ghost King Lord of Wealth. Someone made an offering to me today, and it has to do with the Ghost King Lord of Wealth. He told people to donate some money to the master. Really, this is not offered by a hair. There are no wrong things in the world, nothing that occurs without cause and effect. You had created the causes to become my disciples. No one can force cause and effect. It is something major to deny the law of cause and effect. We must not discredit it. The Ghost King Lord of Domestic Animals governs all kinds of animals. The Ghost King Lord of Birds governs over fowls. The Ghost King Lord of Beasts. Earlier it was the Ghost King Lord of Domestic Animals. Now it's the Lord of Wild Beasts. There are no domesticated beasts really. There is a Ghost King Lord of Beasts in the eastern Lazuli Mountain. He governs over beasts such as tigers, hares, and dragons. In the southern Glass Mountain, there is a Ghost King who governs over beasts such as snakes, horses, and goats. There is a Silver Mountain with a Ghost King that governs over monkeys, chickens, and dogs. In the north, there is a Gold Mountain that is formed with gold. But do not try to excavate gold there like the way people did with the old God Mountain or New Gold Mountain. That Gold Mountain cannot be touched or reached. There is a Ghost King in this Gold Mountain who governs over swine, rats, and orbs. The Ghost King Lord of Beasts and the Ghost King Lord of Domestic Animals govern over different things and have their own area and turf. The Ghost King Lord of Mountain Sprites. When there are problems with soil, woods, metal, ropes, or large trees, it is because of mountain sprites and the like. The supervisor for these ghosts is the Ghost King Lord of Mountain Sprites. In the third assembly of the Shuragama Mantra is a series of ghost kings in charge of such things. La shi po ye, tru la po ye, chi, yi po ye, wu tuo cha po ye, pi sha po ye, shi sa tuo la po ye, po la che jie la po ye, tu shi cha po ye. The Ghost King Lord of Earth governs human births. He will make sure that good people enjoy safe labors while bad people suffer more during labor or cannot complete their labor at all. They are punished so that they may become enlightened, reform, and renew themselves. The Ghost King Lord of Life governs all life with breath and blood. The Ghost King Lord of Sickness. Any sickness is governed by a ghost. The Ghost King Lord of Danger is in charge of dangerous acts of harm. The Ghost King Three Eyes has 3 eyes. How do his 3 eyes look? They do not look like the heavenly eye in the 5 eyes and 6 penetrations. He has one horizontal, one in the middle, and 2 on the sides. The 3 eyes form a triangle. Have you seen such a thing? The Ghost King 4 eyes. His 4 eyes form a square. They do not arranged like the 5 eyes of the Bodhisattvas. He looks especially strange, so that people are afraid when he sees him. The Ghost King 5 eyes. The Ghost King truly Shu is in charge of the fire in the south. The Great Ghost King Truly Shu is in charge of large fires. The Ghost King Truly Shu is in the south, while further south there is a mountain where the Great Ghost King Truly Shu is the Ghost King. The Ghost King Nuo Cha is one of the kings of the 4 great heavenly kings. He is a Dharma protector. So although he belongs to the category of ghosts, he is not a ghost. That is why he is named the King Nuo Cha. The great Ghost King Nuo Cha and the other such great ghost kings as mentioned above. When we talked about small ghosts, we said that where there is a large ghost, there is a small ghost. With them were hundreds of thousands of minor ghost kings. A ghost king has these ghost offspring, including children, grandchildren, and other relatives who dwelt throughout the southern Jambudvipa, each residing over certain jurisdictions. Each ghost has a domain where they may exercise their power. Sutra, aided by the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength and the power of Earth-Store Bodhisattva Mahasattva, all these ghost kings joined Lord Yama in the Trayastrimsha Heaven, and together they stood to one side. Then Lord Yama knelt, placed his palms together, and said to the Buddha, World Honored One, aided by the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength and the power of Earth-Store Bodhisattva, I have been able to come here with all these ghost kings to join this great assembly in the Trayastrimsha Heaven, which will be very much to our benefit. There is now a small doubt that I should like to express, and we hope the World Honored One will be compassionate and resolve explain it. Commentary. Each person has his or her individual authority. These ghosts have their authority as ghosts. Aided by the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength and the psychic power of Earth-Store Bodhisattva Mahasattva, all these ghost kings joined Lord Yama in the Trayastrimsha Heaven, the heaven of the 33, and together they stood to one side. Then Lord Yama knelt, placed his palms together, and said to the Buddha, World Honored One, aided by the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength and the power of Earth-Store Bodhisattva, I, son of God Yama, have been able to come here with all these ghost kings and members of our retinue to join this great assembly in the Trayastrimsha Heaven. which will be very much to our benefit. There is now a small doubt that I should like to express. May I have the privilege to ask the World Honored One? Am I qualified to ask the World Honored One? And we only hope the World Honored One will be compassionate and resolve explain it, thus resolving my problem. Sutra. The Buddha told Lord Yama, I will answer any question you would like to ask. At that time, Lord Yama looked respectfully at the World Honored One, made obeisance, turned his head to acknowledge Earthstar Bodhisattva, and then said to the Buddha, World Honored One, I observe that Earthstar Bodhisattva uses hundreds of thousands of expedient devices to rescue beings who are suffering for their offenses within the six paths of rebirth. I see that he does so uninstinctively, without the least fatigue. Although this great Bodhisattva uses his inconceivable spiritual penetrations to do such deeds, it doesn't take long for the beings whom he has helped in gaining release from retribution to fall into the evil paths again. World Honored One, since a star Bodhisattva has such great inconceivable spiritual powers, why are beings not able to rely on him to stay on the good paths and to be freed once and for all? Please, the World Honored One, explain that for us. Commentary. The Buddha told Lord Yama, I will answer any question you would like to ask. Ask whatever you would like to ask. I will definitely give you a good answer. At that time, Lord Yama looked respectfully at the World Honored One, made obeisance, turned his head to acknowledge Earthstar Bodhisattva. Since the Buddha is in front of him, he looked at the Buddha and turned his head to look at Earthstar Bodhisattva, a show of respect for Earthstar Bodhisattva. And then he said to the Buddha, World Honored One, I observe that Earthstar Bodhisattva uses hundreds of thousands of expedient devices, using different methods to rescue beings who are suffering for their offenses within the six paths of rebirth. The realm of gods, the realm of humans, the realm of asuras, the hells, the realm of hungry ghosts, and the realm of animals, and the realm of animals. I see that he does so instinctively, without the least fatigue. He is not afraid of any hardship or weariness. Although this great Bodhisattva uses his inconceivable spiritual penetrations to do such deeds, it doesn't take long for the beings whom he has helped in gaining release from retribution to fall into the evil paths again. World Honored One, since Earthstar Bodhisattva has such great inconceivable spiritual powers, why are beings not able to rely on him? Why do they not listen to his teachings? Why do they defy the rules? Why are they unable to cultivate by staying on the good paths? Why do they create offenses? And why are they not to be freed once and for all? Instead, they are entangled by karmic obstructions. Please, World Honored One, explain that for us. Sutra. The Buddha told Lord Yama, the beings of Jambudvipa have stubborn and obstinate natures, difficult to tame, difficult to subdue. This great Bodhisattva continually rescues such beings throughout hundreds of thousands of years, causing them to obtain liberation quickly. For those beings undergoing retribution even in the worst destinies, the Bodhisattva applies the strength of experience to extricate them from their own basic karmic conditions and lead them to understand the events of their lives, their past lives. But because beings of Jambudvipa are so bound up by their own heavy bad habits, they keep revolving in and out of the various paths over and over. as these Bodhisattva labors throughout many long eons to entirely effect their rescue and release. They are like people who, in confusion, lose their way home and take a dangerous road by mistake. On that dangerous road are many yakshas, tigers, wolves, lions, serpents, and vipers. Those confused people are sure to be harmed very quickly on that dangerous path. Commentary. The Buddha Shakyamuni told Lord Yama, the beings of Southern Jambudvipa have a stubborn and obstinate natures, difficult to tame, difficult to subdue. It is very difficult to make gentle these beings and subdue them so that they will observe the rules. This is not very easy. For instance, everyone nowadays says that observing rules is bad. Why? It is because they do not wish to observe the rules. So they say it is bad to observe the rules. Actually, without a ruler, a T square, which together means rules in Chinese, one not can draw a square or a circle. This great Bodhisattva continually rescues such beings throughout hundreds of thousands of years, causing them to obtain liberation quickly. Gods, kings, and Lord Yama asked as to why living beings do not listen to a star Bodhisattva and follow his teachings though he has such great spiritual powers. Why do they leave the evil paths and then come back down to the evil path again for as long as billions of years? This great Bodhisattva repeated saves living beings of this sort so that they may become liberated soon. Due to their confusion and action for those type of beings undergoing retribution, 7 in the worst destinies, the 3 evil realms for hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals, the Buddha applies the strength of experience to extricate them from their own basic karmic conditions and lead them to understand the events of their lives. But because of Jambudvipa are so bound up by their own heavy bad habits, the karma of their past lives is connected to his life, while the karma of this life is connected to future lives. This kind of karmic retribution is continuous throughout lifetime, like a rope in a knot. There is what it means. This is what it means by being bound up by their own heavy bad habits. What kind of bad habits are these? The foremost bad habit is a sexual desire. All beings are the same. Every being has a problem that is foremost, something they have the worst time eliminating, and that is lust. Eliminating lust is even more difficult than climbing up to the sky. If you can subdue your lust so that women have no lust when they see men, and men have no lust when they see women, then they have tamed their tiger. Free of afflictions, you have subdued your dragon. Afflictions and ignorance are just like a dragon that transforms endlessly. It develops without you realizing it. So, first of all, and lust. This is where you can tell whether you have any cultivation, more virtue or skill. How can test yourself and know about yourself? You have some skill if you have eliminated desire. If you have not ended your desire, then you are awesome with outflow. So cultivating non-outflow refers to lust. With lust there is an outflow. Without lust there is no outflows. The second leading bad habit is greed. Why is there lust? It is because of greed, such as greed for food, for good thing, for a good feeling, and greed for satisfying one's desire. The third leading bad habit is ignorance. What is arrogance? The third leading bad habit is arrogance. What is arrogance? Some people are not necessarily smarter than others, but they always feel like they are smarter than everyone else. They look down at everyone. They have to be number one wherever they are. The fourth leading bad habit is a hatred towards everyone. If you are not good to me, then I will think of a way and kill you, or think of other ways to seek revenge. The fifth leading bad habit is deceptiveness, cheating and pretending. The sixth leading bad habit is lying. Deception involves pretending to be a good person when one is a mean person. That way people cannot tell. Lying is a false speech. The seventh leading bad habit is blame, blaming others for every one of their obvious wrongdoings. They say, I would not have done that if he had not told me. I cannot be faulted for this. This is his problem. He's guilty. His fault. They shove the blame on others. The eighth leading bad habit is about deviant views. Instead of walking down proper paths, people with this habit always walk down improper paths. The ninth is crookedness. Instead of being straightforward, people with this habit do things that accrue others' wrongdoing in a twisted manner. The tenth leading bad habit is suing. People who enjoy fighting baseless suits tell the judge that certain people are wrong. I am going to sue him. They think of ways to accuse others wrongly. This is suing. These 10 are the Shuragama Sutra as 10 habits, which will lead to the consequence of the 6 retributions. Due to these 10 of habits, living beings are said to be bounded by intense bad habits. They keep revolving in and out of the various paths over and over. They created all kinds of offenses and evil because of these 10 kinds of evil karma. Hence, they got to transcend the 3 evil paths. They return, they revolve, and out of the 3 evil paths, because they transcended them in the present life, but then enter them again in the next life. As this Bodhisattva earth store labors and works so hard throughout many long years to entirely effect their rescue and release, saving all beings. For instance, they are like people who in confusion lose their way home and take a dangerous road by mistake. On that dangerous road, there are many yakshas, tigers, wolves, lions, serpents, and vipers. Yakshas represent skepticism in a 5 dawn servant. Skepticism means doubting everything because they are there is a lack of confidence. Tigers represent greed. Were we to tame our lust, then we would have tamed our tiger. Without having subdued lust, we have not subdued the tiger. What do wolves symbolize? Hatred. Wolves are mean, which applies to both wolves and hatred. Lions represent delusion and foolishness. Serpents and vipers represent arrogance. Greed, hatred, delusion, arrogance, and doubt are the 5 dawn servants. Those confused people are sure to be harmed very quickly on that dangerous path full of the 5 dawn servants of greed, hatred, delusion, arrogance, and doubt. They will be hurt by the 5 dawn servants in an instant in time. Thereby they commit offenses that push them into the 3 evil paths. Sutra. But then they meet a knowledgeable guide, skilled in avoiding all the potential harm, including the toxins of the yakshas and others. This mentor begins to lead the travelers off that dangerous path, saying, "Beware, everyone. What business has brought you onto this road? What kinds of special skills do you have to avoid all those dangers?" Hearing that, the confused travelers realize that they are on a dangerous path and turn back, attempting to escape. The kind guide then tells them to join hands, takes them by the hand, leads them off the dangerous path, and helps them avoid the deadly peril. When they reach a safe road, the travelers are relieved and calm down. Their guide then says to them, "Take care, confused ones, never to get back on that path again. Once on it, it is hard to get off. It can destroy a person's very nature and life." The travelers who had been lost, confused, express their deep gratitude, and as they are about to part, the mentor says to them, "If you see those dear to you and any other travelers, whether you know them personally or not, be they men or women, tell them that the dangers and evils on the path could destroy their very natures and lives. Do not allow them to unwittingly bring about their own deaths." Commentary. But then they meet a knowledgeable guide, a good teacher. Who is he? He is a star Bodhisattva. He is skilled in lots of magic because of his finely wondrous and inconceivable wisdom through spiritual powers. He is good at avoiding all the potential harm, the kind of harm, all the harms that tigers, wolves, lions, yakshas, and the like can do, including the toxins of the yakshas and others. Yakshas are speedy ghosts who are very evil. This mentor begins to lead the lost travelers off that dangerous path, saying, "Beware, everyone. Hey guys, what business has brought you onto this road? Why are you on this dangerous road? What kinds of special skills do you have to avoid all those dangers? Do you have any spiritual powers that can subdue all the tigers, wolves, and lions on this road?" Hearing that, the confused travelers are extremely shocked and realize that they are on a dangerous path and turn back, attempting to escape. Only then did they realize that they made a mistake and walked down the wrong road. They want to back up immediately and leave this path of danger. The kind guide, a star Bodhisattva, then tells them to join hands, takes them by the hand, leads them off or pulls them off the dangerous path, and helps them avoid the deadly peril. They get to avoid all the dangerous creatures such as tigers, wolves, and lions, yakshas, serpents, and vipers. When they leave the three evil paths and reach the safe road, the travelers are relieved and calm down. Their guide then says to them, the previously lost travelers, "Take care, confused ones, lost individuals, never to get back on that path again, the three evil paths. Once on it, it is hard to get off. People who enter the three evil paths do not leave easily. It can destroy a person's very life. Someone walking on this path of danger will lose his life." The travelers who had been confused, lost, expressed their deep gratitude. Having heard such instructions from such a good teacher, a star Bodhisattva, they are very grateful and think, "This person is really very good to me." And as they are about to part, the mentor says to them, "If you see those dear to you and any other travelers, whether you know them personally or not, be they men or women, tell them that the dangers and evils on their path, that is the three evil paths, could destroy their very natures and lives. Do not allow them to unwittingly bring about their own deaths by walking onto the three evil paths and suffer endlessly." Sutra. In the same way, a star Bodhisattva replete with great compassion rescues beings who are suffering for their offenses and enables them to be born among humans and gods, where they enjoy wonderful bliss. Once those offenders are released from the suffering they experienced on the paths where their karma took them, they must never go down those roads again. They are like the lost pupil who mistakenly took a dangerous path and were led to safety by a kind mentor. They know how to never take the road again. Moreover, they exhort others not to get on the road by saying, "We took the road ourselves when we got confused, but we escaped and now we know better than to ever get on the road again. If we were to set foot on it again, we would get confused and be unable to recognize it as the dangerous path we took before. That being the case, we might lose our lives. The same holds true for falling into the bad destinies. Due to the powerful expedient means of a star Bodhisattva, beings can be freed and gain rebirth as humans and gods if they were then to turn around and enter into the bad destinies again. Those with heavy karmic bonds might remain in the hells forever with no chance of escape." Commentary. In the same way, for these reasons, a star Bodhisattva replete with vast and boundless great kindness that bestows joy and compassion that uproots suffering, like a wise teacher rescues all beings who are suffering for their offenses and enables them to be born among humans and gods, where they leave the suffering of the three evil paths and enjoy wonderful bliss in the human realm of the heavens or the heavens. Once those offenders are released from the suffering they experienced on the three evil paths, where all their offense karma took them, they must never go down those roads again. They should never want to fall into the three evil paths. They are like the lost pupil mentioned earlier who mistakenly took a dangerous path and were led to safety by a kind and spiritually powerful mentor. They know now to never take that dangerous road again. Moreover, they exhort others not to get on that road to the three evil realms by saying, "We mistakenly took that dangerous road ourselves when we got confused, but we escaped, liberated from the path of danger, and now we know better than to ever get on the road to the three evil realms again. If we were to set foot on it again, we would get confused, lost, and not be able to get out, and we would be unable to recognize it as the dangerous path we took before. That being the case, we might lose our lives. The same holds true for falling into the bad destinies. Due to the powerful expedient means and magical powers of wisdom of a star Bodhisattva, beings can be freed and gain rebirth as humans or gods if they were then to turn around and enter into the bad destinies again. Those with heavy karmic bonds from evil acts might remain in the hells forever with no chance of escape, unable to leave suffering and attain bliss. Sutra. At that time, the ghost King Evil Poison placed his palms together respectfully, addressed the Buddha and said, "World Honored One, each of us countless ghost kings of Jambuvipa bestows benefit and inflicts harm upon beings differently. However, karmic retributions cause those in my retinue to travel the world doing to do more evil than good. Nonetheless, when we pass by a household, a city, a town, a garden, a cottage, or a hut where there are men or women who have cultivated as little as a hair's worth of good deeds, even if they have hung up but one banner or one canopy, used a little incense or a few flowers as offerings to images of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, recited the sacred sutras or burned incense as an offering to even one sentence or gather in them. We ghost kings will respect such people as we would the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. We will instruct the smaller ghosts, each of whom has great power, as well as the earth spirits, to protect such people. Bad situations, accidents, severe or unexpected illnesses, and all other unwelcome events will not even come near their residences or other places where they may be, much less enter the door. Commentary. At that time, the ghost king Evil Poison, a most vicious and mean ghost king who specializes in dealing with evil and vicious people, arrived before the Buddha, which leaves him no longer evil or vicious. He placed his palms together respectfully, addressed the Buddha, and said, "World Honored One, each of us Kali's ghost kings of southern Jambudvipa bestows benefit or inflicts harm upon beings differently. There are countless ghost kings in one world, not to mention that there are countless worlds, thus rendering the number of ghost kings countless. Each ghost king governs over different things. Some govern over those who hurt people, while some govern over those who plan to benefit people. How come there are ghost kings who hurt people and ghost kings who help people? Those who hurt people subdue bad people. Those who benefit others help good people. However, karmic retributions cause those in my retinue to travel the world, doing more evil than good. Why are ghost kings in the occupation they are in? It is because of their past karma. The retinues of us ghosts who go about different parts of the world are most evil. More are evil, and fewer are good. Although they are more evil than good, nonetheless, when we pass by a household, a big city, a small town, or a tiny village, a garden, a cottage, or a hut where there are men or women who have cultivated as little as a hand's worth for good deeds, even if they have hung up but one banner or one jeweled canopy, used a little incense or a few flowers as offerings to images of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, recited the sacred sutras such as the Shuragama Sutra, the Dharma Flower Sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Vada Sutra, and other Mahayana Sutras, or burnt incense as an offering to even one sentence in the sutra, or a gatha, i.e., a verse in them. We ghost kings, every one of us will respect such people as we would the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. We will instruct the smaller ghosts, though considered small, each of whom has great power as well as the earth spirits, to protect such people. Bad situations are situations that go against our wishes, such as a house caught on fire or some accident without reason. Accidents that occur unexpectedly, such as plane crashes or train derailments, severe or unexpected illnesses that never quite cures and subdue one set of illness that leads to death in possibly less than an hour, and all other unwelcome, unpleasing, or inauspicious events will not even come near their residences or other places where they may be, much less enter the door. How could these bad situations, accidents, severe illnesses, and sudden onset of death reach a certain individual's home? The ghosts are there to protect, ensuring that everything is auspicious. Why is everything auspicious for them? By making offerings to the triple jewel, cultivating or and doing good adverse events to not reach their houses. Sutra. The Buddha praised the ghost kings. Excellent, excellent. That all of you ghost kings join Lord Yama in protecting good men and women in that way. I shall tell Lord Brahma and Lord Shakra to make sure that you are protected as well." When that was said, a ghost king in the assembly named Lord of Life said to the Buddha, "World Honored One, my karmic conditions are such that I have jurisdiction over the lifespans of people in Jambudvipa, governing the time about their births and their deaths. My fundamental vows are based on a great desire to benefit them, but people do not understand my intent and go through birth and death in distress. Why is that? When women in Jambudvipa have just given birth to children, be they boys or girls, or when they are just about to give birth, good deeds should be done to increase the benefits of the household, thus causing the local earth spirits to be immeasurably pleased. The spirits will then protect the mother and child so that they experience peace and happiness and will bring benefit to the entire family. After the birth, all killing and injuring for the purpose of offering the fresh meat to the mother should be carefully avoided, as should parties that include drinking alcohol, eating meat, singing, and playing musical instruments. All those things can keep the mother and child from being peaceful and happy. Commentary. The Buddha praised the ghost king's evil poison. Excellent, excellent that all of you ghost kings join Lord Yama in protecting good men and women in that way. I shall tell great Lord Brahma and Lord Shakra of the heaven of 33 to make sure that you are protected as well. When that was said by Shakyamuni Buddha, another ghost king in the assembly, named Lord of Life, who controls human lifespans, said to the Buddha, "World Honored One, my karmic conditions are such that I have a jurisdiction over the lifespans of people in Jambudvipa, governing the time of both their births and their deaths. I am in charge of length of life. My fundamental vows are based on a great desire to benefit them, but people do not understand my intent and go through birth and death in distress. Why is that? When women in southern Jambudvipa have just given birth to children, be they boys or girls, or when they are just about to give birth, good deeds that benefit people should be done to increase the benefits of the household. Doing good deeds brings about an auspicious light which protects you. Having created good deeds and benefits that help the household, thus causing the local earth spirits to be immeasurably pleased. The spirits will then protect the mother and child so that they experience peace and happiness and will bring benefit to the entire family. After the birth, remember not to kill any being. All killing and injuring for the purpose of offering fresh meat, such as chicken, duck, or fish, or bring some delicious food to the mother who just gave birth should be carefully avoided, as should parties that include drinking alcohol, eating meat, singing, and playing musical instruments such as violins or flutes. All those things can keep the mother and child from being peaceful and happy. Sutra. Why is that? At the difficult time of birth, uncountable evil ghosts, including mountain sprites, goblins, and certain spirits, desire to eat the strong-smelling blood. I quickly order the local earth spirits of that household to protect the mother and child, allowing them to be peaceful and happy and to receive other benefits. When people in such households witness those benefits, they should do meritorious deeds to express their gratitude to the earth spirits. If instead they harm and kill and have large gatherings involving feasting and entertainment, then the retributions that result from such offenses will be borne by them and will bring harm to the mother and child as well. Moreover, when people of Jambudvipa are on the verge of death, I wish to keep them from falling into the evil paths, regardless of whether they have done good or evil. But how much is this power of mind to help them increased when they have personally cultivated good rules? When those who do good in Jambudvipa are about to die, hundreds of thousands of ghosts and spirits from the evil paths transform themselves and appear as their parents or other relatives in an attempt to lead such people to fall into the evil paths. How much more is that the case for those who have done evil deeds? Commentary. Why is that? What are the reasons that make the mother and child ill at ease? At the difficult time of birth, uncountable evil ghosts, including many kinds of mountain sprites, water goblins, and certain spirits, desire to eat the strong-smelling blood that is let out during labor. I, Ghost King, the Lord of Life, quickly give orders to the local earth spirits of that household. Whenever something like this happens, I command those earth spirits living there and take care of the residents, and land there to protect the mother and child, allowing them to be peaceful and happy and to receive other benefits. When people in such households, including adults and children, witness those benefits, they should do meritorious deeds to express their gratitude to the earth spirits. If instead of being grateful, they harm and kill living beings and have large gatherings involving feasting and entertainment, then the retributions that result from such offenses will be borne by them. They must bear the consequences of the offenses that they committed, and they will bring harm to the mother and child as well. Both the children and adults will be hurt. Moreover, when people of the southern continent of Jambudvipa are on the verge of death, I wish to keep them from falling into the three evil paths, regardless of whether they have done good or evil, or whether they are good or evil. But how much is this power of mind to have them increased when they have personally cultivated good rules? I do not need to expend too much effort to protect them because they have cultivated good rules. When those who do good in the southern continent of Jambudvipa are about to die, hundreds of thousands of ghosts and spirits from the evil paths transform themselves and appear as their parents or other relatives in an attempt to lead such people to fall into the evil paths. Even people who did good deeds will have evil ghosts that come and entice them at the time of their death, wishing to make them fall into the evil paths. They may change into the way your parents, relatives, or friends look. They will come to receive you too, making you fall into the evil paths. How much more is that the case for those who have done evil deeds? Even people who did good deeds have evil ghosts come to fool them into falling into the evil paths, not to mention people who did evil deeds. Evil ghosts are all the more likely to come and entice them into the evil paths. Sutra. Word Honored One. When men or women in Jambudvipa are on the verge of death, their consciousnesses and spirits become confused and dark. They are unable to discriminate between good and evil, and their eyes and ears are unable to see or hear. That is why relatives of those deceased people should make generous offerings, recite the sacred sutras, and recite the names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Such good conditions can cause the deceased to leave the evil paths, and all the demons, ghosts, and spirits will withdraw and disperse. Word Honored One. If at that time of death, beings of any kind have an opportunity to hear the name of one Buddha or Bodhisattva also hear a sentence or gather of a Mahayana Sutra, I observe that such beings can quickly be freed from the pull of their accumulated minor bad deeds that would otherwise send them to the evil paths. The exception to that is crimes involving killing that warrant fivefold relentless retribution. Buddha told the Ghost King Lord of Life, because of your great compassion, you are able to make such great vows and protect all beings in the midst of life and death. When men or women in the future undergo birth and death, do not retreat from your vow, but liberate them all so that they can experience eternal peace. Commentary. Ghost King Lord of Life called out, World Honored One, when men or women in Jambudvipa are on the verge of death, their warmth, breath, and eighth consciousness leave their bodies, rendering an end to their life. Their consciousnesses and spirits become confused and dark. When people are newly dead, the spiritual consciousness, which is their body between skandhas, is unclear and does not yet understand that they just left their body and that they are dead. They are unable to discriminate between good and evil, and their eyes and ears are unable to see or hear. Their ability to see, to smell, to be aware, and to know are all gone. That is why relatives of those deceased people should make generous offerings, create a substantial merit for them by having monastics recite or by personally reciting the sutra. This is why in China, monks are invited to recite sutras for 1, 2, 3, and on up to 7 weeks in reciting the sutras. After Elder Master Su Yun passed away, the Buddhist lecture hall created merit by reciting the Mahaprayana Sutra for more than 160 days. This is unprecedented. No patriarch in their passing from the time of Shakyamuni Buddha until now has had such a huge Dharma assembly where the Mahaprayana Sutra is recited. This is a great offering. Recite the sacred sutras such as this, and recite the names of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, such good conditions for creating merit and doing good deeds can help the deceased and cause the deceased to leave the evil paths, and all the demons, ghosts, and spirits will withdraw and disperse by creating merit for them, so that as their virtues become great, resentment against them and disasters on them vanish. With the merit and virtue, offenses and problems decrease, hence all the demons and evil spirits withdraw and disperse, running away. World Honored One, if at the time of death, beings of any kind in southern continent of Jambudvipa have an opportunity to hear the name of one Buddha or Bodhisattva alone, no need for many, or to hear a sentence or gather of a Mahayana Sutra. I, the Ghost King Lord of Life, observe that such beings can eliminate the 5 offenses of killing and harming that warrant being in the relentless hells and minor bad deeds that warrant being in the evil destinies. They will quickly be freed from the pull of their accumulated minor bad deeds that would otherwise send them to the evil paths. The exception to that is crimes involving killing that warrant fivefold relentless retribution. As long as people of this sort hear or encounter the name of one Buddha or Bodhisattva, or a line or a verse in a Mahayana Sutra before or at the time of their death, they can get rid of the 5 offenses that would warrant them being in the relentless hells. They may also get rid of offenses from having killed or harmed others. There was not supposed to be any way to eliminate the offenses of the 5 rebellious acts, killing and harming. Originally, they deserved to fall into the evil destinies from minor offenses, but I will make them become liberated soon so that they do not need to undergo offenses. The Buddha told the Ghost King, Lord of Life, because of your great compassion, you are able to make such great vows and protect all beings in the midst of life and death. When men or women in the future undergo birth and death, do not retreat from your vow, but liberate them all so that they can experience eternal peace. Sutra. The Ghost King told the Buddha, please do not be concerned. Until the end of my life, in every thought I shall protect beings of Jambudvipa at the time both of birth and of death, so that they all find tranquility. I only wish that at the time of birth and death they would believe what I say, so that they could all be liberated and gain many benefits. At that time, the Buddha told the Bodhisattva, this great Ghost King, Lord of Life, has already passed through hundreds of thousands of lives as a great Ghost King, protecting beings during both birth and death. Only because of this great being's compassionate vows does he appear thus in the body of a great Ghost King, for in reality he is not a ghost. After 170 aeons have passed, he will become a Buddha named No Appearance Thus Come One. His eon will be called happiness, and his world will be named pure dwelling. That Buddha's lifespan will continue for incalculable eons. Earth store. The circumstances surrounding this great Ghost King are thus. They are inconceivable, and the pupil and gods whom he rescues are countless. Commentary. The Ghost King is very much at ease. It is not bad being a Ghost King. He can make anyone he wants live. He can make anyone he wants die. Everyone's lives are in the hands of this Ghost King. If he were greedy, such as an official who accepts bribes, he will certainly receive many because he controls everyone's length of life. One ghost during the time of Dharma Master Tao Sheng went to listen to the Dharma Master lecture on the sutras frequently. When Dharma Master Tao Sheng told the ghost to become reborn as a human being, he said, I have been a ghost for 3,000 years. I have no troubles and worries. Lord Sheng tells me to become a human being. I'm afraid that I will not reach the end of that life. The ghost says that he is afraid that before he finishes being a human, he will create offenses, so he might as well be a ghost. See, ghosts think it is not bad being a ghost. There is a Chinese aphorism that says, offer the position of an emperor to a beggar who has done so for 3 years, and the beggar will refuse. The ghost experiences so much freedom. A ghost who has been a ghost for 3,000 years will refuse to be a human because he feels that ghosts have no troubles or worries. Lord Sheng, as a ghost called Dharma Master Tao Sheng, is an honorific that you, those of you who are going to Taiwan to receive the precepts may use, can use when you encounter senior masters. For instance, you may call Dharma Master Yin Shun Lord Yin. Actually, you could use either one of the characters in his name, whichever one rolls off the tongue. There are no rules for using a particular one. For example, you may refer to Dharma Master Tao Yuan as Lord Tao or Lord Yuan. However, now that you are going to receive the precepts, he is your precept master, so you cannot refer to him as Lord Tao or Lord Yuan. What should you call him? Call him precept master. You would be disrespectful if you were to call your precept master Lord Yuan or Lord Tao. It is most respectful to call him precept master. He is your precept master because you received the precepts with him. As for other senior masters, refer to them using one character in their name and not two. Also, when you see most monastics, you should put the palms together when you speak. Do not stare at people the way you do. Lower your eyes when you talk to anybody. This is the way to pull in your body and mind. Now that you are going to receive the precepts there, I'm going to pass on Buddhist Vinaya to you Westerns, so pay special attention. If you uphold them well and are good representatives for Westerns, they will say, Westerns also observe the rules so well. If you do not observe the rules when you go over there, that does not work, they cannot cultivate. You lose faith for all Westerners. Even if there are people willing to leave a home in the future, no one will be willing to accept them. They cannot cultivate. We cannot accept them. As bishops and bishopes, wherever you go, you must be good role models who keep the rules. Do not go against the rules. Now that the 5 of you are leaving for Taiwan, it would be best if you ask for recordings. Since some of you understand Chinese and some of you do not, you may bring a tape recorder and a video recorder so that you may record anything important. You may record any Dharma master during the precept training. With the 5 of you together, the ones who understand Chinese will translate for those who do not every time. When other people are resting, you do not rest. Help yourself by telling those among you who do not understand Chinese what happened during the day. You will be united this way. Do not finish your studies there and end up not knowing anything still. This can be said to be the first time that so many Westerners go to receive the precepts. It is unprecedented. Study all the rules and etiquette there as you receive the precepts so that you may return and pass them on to Americans. After you receive the precept this year, perhaps next year or the year after, we can also transmit the precepts as our place in Minnesota so that America can also have a precept training period with 10 months. It will be even better if we have more than 3 masters and 7 certifiers. So you are the essential pupil for blazing the Buddhist trail in America, so this is a very important trip. Ghost King Lord of Life told the Buddha, please do not be concerned or worried. Wound on not one until the end of my life. As a ghost, in every thought I shall protect beings of Jambuvipa at the time both of birth and of death, so that they all find tranquility. They will live well and die well, never experiencing anything that goes against their wishes. I only wish that at the time of birth and death they would believe what I say. One vow of mine is for all beings to obey me at the time of birth and death, the way you obey me as my disciples. If you do not listen to your master, then you are not good disciples, so that they could all be liberated and gain many benefits. If they do not listen to the Ghost King, then they would not be good beings. The Ghost King would not protect them. At that time, the Buddha told Amitabha Bodhisattva, this great Ghost King, Lord of Life, has already passed through hundreds of thousands of lives as a great Ghost King, protecting beings during both birth and death. Only because of this great being's compassionate vows does he appear thus in the body of a great Ghost King, for in reality he is not a ghost. He is a real great Bodhisattva. Although he is a Ghost King, he is a great Bodhisattva who vowed to become a Ghost King based on his vows of compassion. He appears in the form of a great Ghost King, but he is not actually a ghost. After 170 years have passed, he will become a Buddha named No Appearance Thus Come One. No appearance is the true appearance. True appearance is without any appearance. His yin will be called happiness, and his world will be named pure dwelling. We are here in the Saha world during the worthy yin, while his yin is the urn of happiness and want named pure dwelling. That Buddha's lifespan will continue for incalculable eons. His life is extremely long. Also, you should know that the past and present circumstances surrounding this great ghost king are thus. They are inconceivable, unimaginable, and unspeakable, and the people and gods whom he rescues are Kalis. Chapter 9. The Names of Buddhas. Commentary. Reciting the names of Buddhas, I mentioned before that originally every Buddha has 10,000 titles. Then, due to the fact that people could not remember so much, the number gradually reduced to 1,000. However, people still had difficulty recalling 1,000 names. They have bad memories like I do. By the time they recite the first to the 1,000th, they forget the first. As a result, the number of titles was cut down to 100. In the end, though, it was still troublesome to remember 100 names. Therefore, they were decreased to 10. Every Buddha has 10 titles. Thus came one worthy of offerings, upright and universal knowledge, perfect clarity and conduct, well-gone one, knower of worlds, unsurpassed knight, teacher of people and gods, Buddha and world-honored one. This is the 9th chapter called The Names of Buddhas. The Bodhisattva is about to explain what kind of merit and virtue one is going to receive by reciting the various Buddha's names. Sutra. At that time, Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, World Honored One, I want to discuss some practices that will be helpful to beings of the future and will enable them to gain great benefit throughout their lives and deaths. World Honored One, please hear my words. The Buddha told Bodhisattva, now with your expansive compassion, you wish to discuss the inconceivable events involved in rescuing all those in the six paths who are suffering for their offenses. This is the right time. Speak now, since my nirvana is near, so that I may soon help you complete your vows. Then neither of us will need to be concerned about beings of the present or future. Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, World Honored One, countless Samkhya and eons ago, a Buddha named Bodhisattva appeared in the world. If men or women hear this, the Buddha's name and have a momentary thought of respect, those people will overstep the heavy offenses involved in birth and death for 40 years. How much more will that be the case for those who sculpt or paint his Buddha's image, or praise and make offerings to him? The merit they obtain will be limitless and boundless. Commentary. At that time, after the 8th chapter was spoken, Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, World Honored One, I want to discuss some practices that will be helpful to living beings of the future, including you and I who are present now. Do not say that you are not counted. Both of us are included in this figure. These practices will enable them, the living beings, to gain great benefits throughout their lives and deaths. World Honored One, please, I sincerely request that you hear me explain my vow with words. The Buddha told Bodhisattva, now with your expansive compassion mind that you are bringing forth, you wish to discuss the inconceivable events involved in rescuing all those in the six paths, including beings from the heavens, humans, asuras, hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals who are suffering through their offenses. This is the right time. Hurry up and speak now, since my nirvana is near. From this statement, we can conclude that A Star Sutra was spoken after the Dharma Flower Sutra and before the Nirvana Sutra. The Buddha continued, "Speak up so that I may soon have you complete your vows. Then neither of us will need to be concerned about beings of the present or future. I will not have to worry about them any longer." A Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, "Word on not one, countless asamkhya years ago." Asamkhya is a Sanskrit word that refers to limitless and countless eons. There was a Buddha named Bodhisattva who appeared in the world. His body is without bound. It pervades the whole empty space of the Dharma realm. If a man or women of southern Jambudvipa hear this Buddha's name and have a momentary thought of respect, those people will overstep the heavy offenses involved in birth and death for 40 great years. How much more will that be the case for those who sculpt or paint this Buddha's image and praise and make offering to him? The merit they obtain will be limitless and boundless. You will never finish counting because there is so much. I'm going to share a public record with you now. What is it? When the Buddha dwelt in the world, there was an old man who wanted to leave home and cultivate the way. The Buddha was not a Jala Grover then. His disciples were annoyed at seeing the old man. They wondered, "He is so good, poor, and sloppy. Why does he want to leave home?" These are Hasa who have certified to the fruition observed. This old man has no good roots with 80,000 great years whatsoever. He cannot live the home life because one must have good rules to do so. Do not claim it easy to live the home life, for it takes a body seed sowed in past lives. One can only leave a home after planting numerous good roots throughout past lives. Even though you want to leave home, you will not be able to. If you like good roots, you might want to, but then you think, "Oh, no, living the home life is too difficult. It is not good. Do not leave a home." You might back down and say, "Do not go, do not go." Those Ahasa saw that the old man had no good roots and rejected him. Being poor to the point that he had no food or clothes, the 90 or 100-year-old woman or man who had difficulty walking thought, "Now I have lived to this age, I suppose I could obtain some peace by living the home life." But it turned out that the Buddha's disciples declined to take me in. Hence he started to cry, sobbing and walking at the same time. A new idea emerged. What was it? He was mulling over a scheme to commit suicide by jumping down the Ganges River. He was not far from there, and when he was about to jump into the Ganges, Shakyamuni Buddha came and said, "Hey, sir, what are you doing? You want to swim at your age? Your arms and legs are not so flexible. You cannot swim." The old man said, "No, I'm going to die. I'm going to put an end to my life instead of living. There is no meaning to living." Shakyamuni Buddha said, "Oh, why is it meaningless for you to go on living? Can you tell me?" The old man said, "I felt that nothing is meaningful, so I wanted to live a home life, follow Shakyamuni Buddha and cultivate. But when I went there today requesting to live the home life, the Buddha's disciples rejected me, telling that I have no good roots. Since I cannot leave a home when I want to, what is the use of being alive? I feel that being alive is worse of them being dead. So I wanted to jump into the Ganges River to drink its waters until I am full so that I may become a young man who lives the whole life in another incarnation. Since the Buddha's disciples do not like old people, also probably because of how ugly I am, no one likes me. Shakyamuni Buddha said, "You want to live the whole life, don't jump into the river. I will accept you as a disciple. You can come back." The old man asked, "Who are you?" Shakyamuni Buddha answered, "I am Shakyamuni Buddha." "You are Shakyamuni Buddha, you will accept me?" Shakyamuni Buddha said, "It is so sad the way you cry. I will accept you as an old disciple." The Buddha brought the old man back and spoke Dharma for him. As soon as the Buddha spoke Dharma, the old man testified to the fruition of arhatship. When the Buddha was alive, many people testified to the fruition of arhatship. The Buddha looked at his causes and conditions and spoke the Buddha Dharma for him, so that the man testified to the fruition. Some disciples think, "This old monster is old and without good rules. How can be certified to the fruition? They became doubtful of the Buddha Dharma and asked the world honored one, "Really, this old man should not leave home. But how come you accepted him and he certified to the fruition? It is awfully strange. We are skeptical about the Buddha Dharma." Shakyamuni Buddha said that you hearts only know about the cause and effect and the good and the bad throughout 80,000 great years, whereas you do not see anything beyond this period of time. For instance, you can see things that occur in this house but nothing outside it. The old man was a logger in the mountains more than 80,000 great years ago. When he encountered a tiger that was going to bite him to death, he recited Namo Buddha once. For that, the conditions now repent for him to live the home life and certify to the fruition. It is not a happenstance for people who wish to live the home life. They may have recited Namo Buddha many times to live home in this timeline, otherwise you would not accept them as disciples either. Sutra. Furthermore, in the past, as many years ago, as there are grains of sand in the Ganges River, a Buddha named Jewel Nature first come one appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name and instantly decide to take refuge with those people who never retreat from the unsurpassed path. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Lotus Supreme First Come One appeared in the world. If men or women hear this merely passes by their ears, those people will be reborn 1,000 times in the distant desired heavens. How much more will that be the case if those people sincerely recite the name of that first come one? Commentary. Furthermore, in the past, as many years ago, as there are grains of sand in the Ganges River, a Buddha named Jewel Nature first come one, referring to how our nature is very precious, appeared in the world. If a man or women hear this Buddha's name and instantly decide to take refuge, those people will never retreat from the unsurpassed path to Bodhi. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Lotus Supreme First come one appeared in the world. Padma means red lotus, which is supreme because it surpasses over lotuses such as yellow, white, or green lotuses. Red is the most supreme among all the colors. If a man or women hear this Buddha's name, or if The sound of his name, Lotus Supreme, First Come One, merely passes by their ears. Those people will be reborn 1,000 times in the 6 desire heavens. What are the 6 desire heavens? The heaven of the 4 heavenly kings, Trayastrimsha Heaven, Shuragama Heaven, Buddhist Heaven, heaven of transformational happiness, and the heaven of ease of others' transformations. Celestial demons live in the heaven of ease of others' transformations. How much more will that be the case if those people sincerely recite the name of that first come one? Since one enjoys so much merit just from hearing the Buddha's name once, then not to mention how much greater is the merit of sincerity reciting the Buddha's name oneself. Long ago, someone went to Palaceof monastery and saw an amala tree with golden flowers. He picked a blossom and walked to the Shakyamuni Buddha image before him. Seeing how wondrous the image of Shakyamuni Buddha is, he offered the flower before the Buddha image. Then he went and asked an old man, "How much merit do I get from making an offering of this flower to Shakyamuni Buddha?" The old man said, "I do not know. You have to go ask a monastic. He went to ask a monk, who responded, "I do not know." You would have to ask the arhat, who has practiced chant and certified to the fruition. How he can tell you. Then he went local for the arhat to certify to the fruition. "Can you tell me how much merit I get for having offered these flowers to the Buddha?" The arhat said, "Wait and let me contemplate a bit." He contemplated and said, "This merit is impossible to reckon. The blessings that result from it is inexhaustible for 80,000 great eons. As beyond 80,000 great eons, I would not know. You would have to ask the Buddha." He went to ask the Buddha, and the Buddha said, "This merit is inexhaustibly many, pervading all of space and Dharma realm. One individual receives these much blessings just for making a flower offering to the Buddha. Hence, we can enjoy 1,000 births in the 6 desire heavens if we just hear the Buddha's name once. This kind of merit is inconceivable." Sutra. Furthermore, in the past, inexpressibly ineffable Asakya years ago, a Buddha named Lion's Roar, thus come one, appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name and in a single thought take refuge, those people will encounter numberless Buddhas who will rub the crowns of their heads and bestow predictions of enlightenment upon them. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Karakuchanda appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name and sincerely gaze at, worship, or praise him, those people will become great Brahma heaven kings in the assemblies of the 1,000 Buddhas of the worthy eon and will there receive superior predictions. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Vipasshin appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name, those people will eternally avoid falling into the evil paths, will always be born among people or gods, and will abide in supremely wonderful bliss. Furthermore, in the past, as many eons ago as there are grains of sand in limitless and countless Ganges rivers, a Buddha named Jeweled Victory, thus come one, appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name, those people will never fall into the evil paths and will always abide in the heavens, experiencing supremely wonderful bliss. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Jeweled Appearance Thus Come One appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name and give rise to a thought of respect, those people will soon attain the fruitions of hardship. Furthermore, limitless Asamkhya years ago, a Buddha named Kashyapa thus come one appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name, those people will overcome the offenses created throughout 100 great eons of births and deaths. Commentary. Furthermore, in the past, inexpressibly ineffable Asamkhya years ago, an infinite number of eons ago, a Buddha named Lion's Roar thus come one appeared in the world. His name represents how the Buddha speaks the Dharma the way lions roar. If a man or women hear this Buddha's name and in a single thought take refuge, those people will encounter numberless Buddhas who will rub the crowns of their heads and bestow predictions of enlightenment upon them. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Karakuchanda appeared in the world. Karakuchanda is a Sanskrit word that means deserved to end or adorned treasury. If men or women hear this Buddha's name and sincerely gaze at, worship, or praise him with verses, those people will become great Brahma Heaven kings in the assemblies of the 1,000 Buddhas of the worthy eon, and will there receive superior predictions of becoming great Brahma Heaven kings. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Vipashin appeared in the world. I know no one knows that Vipashin means, what Vipashin means. So let me tell you now. You should remember because it is difficult to find it if you do not remember. Buddhist dictionaries do not always have this recorded. Vipashin means supreme contemplation or various contemplations. If a man or woman hear this Buddha's name, those people will eternally avoid falling into the evil paths of the hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals. As we listen to the Earth Star Sutra now, we also hear the name of Vipashin Buddha, so we will never fall into the evil paths, but only if you never do any evil deeds. If you continue to do evil deeds after hearing this Buddha's name, you will still fall into the evil paths. Why? You have not changed for the better and reformed. Just because one has heard the name of the Buddha, it does not mean one will not fall into the three evil paths. So one may go and kill, set fire, steal, and everything else, figuring one will not fall into the three evil paths. Do not think in such a stupid fashion. Although you have heard the Buddha's name, you will only avoid the three evil paths if you never do evil deeds. They will always be born among people or gods and will abide in supremely wonderful bliss. Furthermore, in the past, as many great eons ago, as there are grains of sand in limitless and countless Ganges rivers, a Buddha named Jeweled Victory thus come one appeared in the world. In Sanskrit, Jeweled in Latna and Victory is Vipa. Jeweled is Latna and Victory is Vipa. If a man or woman hear this Buddha's name, those people will never fall into the evil paths and will always abide in the heavens, experiencing supremely wonderful bliss. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Jeweled Appearance thus come one appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name and give rise to a thought of respect, those people will soon attain the fruitions of hardship. Furthermore, limitless Asamkhya years ago, a Buddha named Kashyapa thus come one appeared in the world. If a man or woman hear this Buddha's name, those people will overcome the offenses created throughout 100 great eons of births and deaths. Sutra. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Great Penetration Mountain King thus come one appeared in the world. If men or women hear this Buddha's name, those people will encounter as many Buddhas as there are grains of sand in the Ganges. Those Buddhas will speak Dharma extensively for them, making certain that they realize Buddhi. Furthermore, in the past, there were Buddhas named Pure Moon Buddha, Mountain King Buddha, Wise Victory Buddha, Pure Name King Buddha, Accomplished Wisdom Buddha, Unsurpassed Buddha, Wonderful Sound Buddha, Full Moon Buddha, Moon Face Buddha, and indescribably many other Buddhas, world-honored one, beings of the present and future, both gods and humans, both male and female, can amass such limitless merit and virtue by reciting only one Buddha's name. How much more merit will they amass by reciting many names? Those beings will personally obtain benefits in their lives and deaths significant enough to keep them from ever falling into the evil paths. When people are on the brink of death, a group of their relatives, or even just one of them, should recite a Buddha's name aloud for the people who are ailing. If they do, the karmic retributions of those people who are about to die will be dissolved, even offenses deserving fivefold relentless retribution. Offenses warranting fivefold relentless retribution are so extremely heavy that those who commit them should not escape retribution for millions of years. If, however, at the time of such offenders' deaths, someone recites the names of Buddhas on their behalf, then their offenses can gradually be dissolved. How much more will that be the case for beings who recite those names themselves? The merit they create will be limitless and will eradicate measureless offenses. Commentary. Furthermore, in the past, a Buddha named Great Penetration Mountain King first come one appeared in the world. If a man or women hear this Buddha's name, those people will encounter as many Buddhas as there are grains of sand in the Ganges. Those Buddhas will speak the various terms in the Dharma extensively for them, making certain that they realize the enlightened fruit of unsurpassed Buddhi. Furthermore, in the past, there were Buddhas named Pure Moon Buddha, Mountain King Buddha, Wise Victory Buddha, Pure Name King Buddha, Accomplished Wisdom Buddha, Unsurpassed Buddha, Wonderful Sound Buddha, Full Moon Buddha, Moon Face Buddha, and indescribably many other Buddhas, world-honored one, beings of the present and future, both gods and humans, both male and female, can amass such limitless merit and virtue by reciting only one Buddha's name. How much more merit will they amass by reciting many names of Buddhas? Those beings will personally obtain the greatest benefits in their lives and deaths, significant enough to keep them from ever falling into the three evil paths: hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals. When people are on the brink of death, a group of their relatives, or even just one of them, should recite a Buddha's name aloud or loudly for the people who are ailing. If they do, the karmic retributions of those people who are about to die will be dissolved, even offenses deserving fivefold relentless retribution. Offenses warranting fivefold relentless retribution are so extremely heavy that those who committed them should not escape retribution for millions of years. If, however, at the time of such offenders' deaths, someone recites the names of Buddhas on their behalf, then their offenses can gradually be dissolved. How much more will that be the case for beings who recite those names themselves? The merit they create will be limitless, so they acquire limitless blessings and will eradicate measureless offenses. Chapter 10. The conditions and the comparative merit and virtue of giving. Commentary. Comparative is derived from comparisons and measurements. There are three forms of giving: giving of wealth, giving of Dharma, giving of fearlessness. What is giving of wealth? The gift of wealth is divided into two types: inner and outer wealth. Inner wealth is your body, mind, and life. Your outer wealth is all the gold, silver, treasures, jewels, and everything external to the body. On the larger scale, giving up the outer wealth can be giving all the wealth of your country to another person, or the king gives the power and authority to another person to let him be the king. Just like Shakyamuni Buddha, he yielded the position of a king to others, giving all the wealth of his kingdom to others. This kind of giving even includes giving away one's wife. The first thing that humans can let go of is wealth. If one can give away wealth, then this is the breaking through of stinginess and greediness. The second hardest is beauty. Giving away beauty is difficult also. But if you can do what is difficult, that is because you are sincere. So, all the real cultivators who are seeking Dharma surrender even their spouses for the sake of Dharma. Any reason other than seeking Dharma, of course, is not justified. Undoubtedly, one cannot give up his wife and find a prettier one. This is the same as giving away nothing. It is not giving when you are tired of the old one and want to exchange him or her for a new one. The only words to describe this behavior are insatiably greed. It is desire and discontentment. One time during a lecture, we were on the subject of giving away one's wife. There was a wife who wanted to give away her husband, but she couldn't find anyone willing to accept him, so she could not give her husband away. Besides giving away external items, one can also give away one's internal things. The gift of inner wealth consists of the giving of head, eyes, brain, and marrow. It also includes the giving away of skin, blood, muscles, and bones. The giving of Dharma is learning the Buddha Dharma, but it is not like collecting your treasures while the country lies in waste. An example of what that quote means is when you are holding a treasure that can save people. Say that treasure is the wish-fulfilling pearl. Having the wish-fulfilling pearl, one can have all kinds of gold, silver, treasure, and jewelry, all kinds of food, anything. Once you have this wish-fulfilling pearl, all the problems like poverty and disasters can be resolved. But you don't use this wish-fulfilling pearl to help your country and watch all the people of the country starving, suffering, and dying. Watching all of this suffering in front of your own eyes and not caring or even saving this matter is clutching your treasures while the country lies in waste. Another example is when you know how to speak Dharma but refuse to, because once other people understand the Dharma, they will reach your level of understanding. By refusing to speak Dharma, you remain at a higher level than others. These kinds of thoughts are about clutching your treasures while the country lies in waste. So, one should always speak Dharma to other people, telling everybody who hear the Dharma to cultivate and become awakened. The gift of fearlessness is when a person has a kind of disaster and feels fearful. You comfort the person with soothing words, making them not afraid. Chapter 10 of this sutra is talking about the cause and effect of the merit and virtue of giving. Sutra. At that time, a strong Bodhisattva based on the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength rose from his seat, knelt on one knee, placed his palms together, and said to the Buddha, "World Honored One, I have observed beings within the paths of karma and compared their acts of giving. Some do a little and some do a lot. Some receive blessings for one life, some for 10 lives, and some receive great blessings and benefits for hundreds or thousands of lives. Why is that? Please, Lord Indra, explain that for us. Commentary. At that time, a strong Bodhisattva based on the Buddha's awesome spiritual strength, rose up from his seat, knelt on one knee, placed his palms together, and said to the Buddha. The passage before World Honored One is a preface added while the sutras were compiled. This is like a descriptive article on how this text came to be. The parts after the World Honored One to follow are Uttara Bodhisattva's words. World Honored One, I have observed beings within the paths of karma. The 6 paths are heavenly beings, human beings, asuras, hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals. How do they create karma? At first, there is ignorance, confusion that creates karma and retribution to undergo. The beings in the 6 paths are all muddled and cannot find their way out, and compared their acts of giving. Some do a little and some do a lot. According to my comparisons, the merit from living beings giving range from slight to tremendous. Some receive blessings for one life, some for 10 lives, and some receive great blessings and benefits for hundreds or thousands of lives. Why is that? Please, World Honored One, be compassionate and explain that for us. Sutra. At that time, the Buddha told Earth-Star Bodhisattva, here in this assembly, in the Palace of the Trayastrimsha Heaven, I will now discuss the comparative merit and virtue derived from acts of giving done by the beings in Jambudvipa. Listen attentively to what I say. Earth-Star said to the Buddha, I have wondered about this matter and will be pleased to listen. The Buddha told Earth-Star Bodhisattva, in Jambudvipa, leaders of nations, prime ministers, high officials, great elders, great kshatriyas, great brahmins, and others may encounter those who are poor, hunchbacked, crippled, dumb, mute, deaf, retarded, blind, or handicapped in other ways. Those leaders and good people may wish to give to those unfortunate ones and may be able to do so with great compassion, a humble heart, a smile, and a smile. They may arrange to give generously, either personally with their own hands or by arranging for others to do so, using gentle words and sympathetic speech. The blessings and benefits that such leaders and good people will accrue will be comparable to the meritorious virtue derived from giving to as many Buddhas as there are grains of sand in 100 Ganges rivers. Why is that? Those leaders and good people will receive such rewards of blessings and benefits for having shown a greatly compassionate heart toward the most impoverished and disabled individuals. Throughout hundreds of thousands of lives to come, they will always have an abundance of the 7 gems, not to mention clothing, food, and other necessities of life. Commentary. At that time, the Buddha Shakyamuni told Earth-Star Bodhisattva, here in this assembly, all the Bodhisattvas, hearers, arhats, and all the heavenly beings, dragons, ghosts, and spirits in the palace of the Trayastrimsha Heaven, I will now discuss the comparative merit and virtue derived from acts of giving done by the beings in Jambudvipa. Listen attentively to what I say. Earth-Star said to the Buddha, I have wondered about this matter and will be pleased to listen. We have to understand that it's not that Earth-Star Bodhisattva questions this subject. He understands the range of merit from giving very clearly, but he is requesting Dharma for living beings, so all will understand the merit of giving. These are the causes and conditions for him saying that he has wondered about this matter. Don't read the sutra and say, A Bodhisattva does not know about this matter or questions it. No, the Bodhisattva understands the matter, but he said that he wondered about the subject. Isn't that lying? But this kind of lying does not benefit him, nor does it harm anybody else. In fact, it actually benefits other people, because he knew that living beings don't know this principle, so he set up this hypothetical question for the Buddha. So he acts as the Dharma requester. For instance, sometimes a person asks some question not because they themselves don't understand, but rather to help more people understand this matter. The Buddha told a Bodhisattva, in Jambudvipa, leaders of nations, prime ministers, high officials, great elders, the ones who are most affluent and virtuous. A great elder has 10 kinds of moral conduct. 1. Nobility. 2. High positions. 3. Very wealthy. 4. Almighty. 5. Very wise. 6. Older in age. 7. Unadulterated conduct. 8. Courteous. 9. Praised by superiors. 10. Supported by subordinates. Great Kshatriyas are India's royalty, nobility. Great Brahmans, descendants of those who practice purity, also nobility. There are 4 types of social classes in India: Kshatriyas, Brahmans, Vaishyas, and Chandalas. Vedas are businessmen and Chandalas are butchers, and others may encounter those who are poor. The richest elders, great Kshatriyas and great Brahmans, encounter those of the lowest class, such as beggars, employees of ignoble occupations, the poorest pupil and the poor and sick, hunchbacked, crippled, dumb, mute, or speech impaired, deaf, retarded, blind, or disabled in other ways, such as missing arms, legs, eyes, or any other body part. Those leaders and good people may wish to give to those unfortunate ones, and may be able to do so with great compassion, a humble heart, and a smile. They may arrange to give generously, either personally with their own hands or by arranging for others to do so, using gentle words and sympathetic speech. The blessings and benefits that such leaders and good people will accrue will be comparable to the meritorious virtue derived from giving to as many Buddhas as there are grains of sand in 100 Ganges rivers. Why is that? What is the reason? How come? A leader who smiles as he gives to the poor will accrue as much merit as giving to Buddhas the number of grains of sand in 100 Ganges rivers. What is the principle behind this? Though the party who receives the charity is not a Buddha, a leader who can humble himself and smile and give joyously and reverently as if he were making offerings to all Buddhas, then such merit is equivalent to the merit of making offerings to Buddhas, the number of grains of sand in 100 Ganges rivers. Those leaders and good people will receive such rewards of blessings and benefits for having shown a greatly compassionate heart toward the most impoverished and handicapped individuals. Throughout hundreds of thousands of lives to come, they will always have an abundance of the 7 gems, not to mention clothing, food, and the necessities of life. Sutra, moreover, also in the future, the leaders of nations, Brahmins, and others may encounter Buddhist stupas, monasteries, or images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, healers, or practical Buddhas, and personally make offerings or give gifts to them. If they do that, each of those leaders and good people will serve as Lord Shakra for a duration of 10 years, enjoying supremely wonderful bliss. If they are able to transfer the blessings and benefits of that giving, dedicating it to the Dharma realm, then those leaders of nations and good people will reign as great Brahma heaven kings for 10 years. Moreover, also in the future, leaders of nations, Brahmins, and others may, upon encountering ancient Buddhist stupas and monasteries, or sutras and images that are damaged, decaying, or broken, resolve to restore them. Those leaders and good people may then do so themselves or encourage others, as many as hundreds of thousands of people, to help and thereby establish affinities. Those leaders and good people will become well-turning kings for hundreds of thousands of successive lives, and those who made offerings with them will later be leaders of small nations for as many lives. If they resolve to dedicate that merit before the stupas or monasteries, then based on that limitless and unbounded reward, those leaders, good people, and their helpers will all eventually complete the path to Buddhahood. Commentary. Moreover, let me tell you some causes and conditions of giving. Also, you ought to know that in the future, the leaders of nations, Brahmins, and others may encounter Buddhist stupas, monasteries, or images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heroes, or practical Buddhas. Sanskrit for those enlightened by conditions, when there are Buddhas in the world, and solitarily enlightened ones when there are no Buddhas in the world. And they personally make offerings or give gifts to them. If they do that, each of those leaders and good people will serve as Lord Shakra for a duration of then eons, enjoying supremely wonderful bliss if they are able to transfer the blessings and benefits of that giving, rejecting this for themselves and dedicating it to the Dharma realm. Then those leaders of nations and good people will reign as the great Brahma Heaven kings for 10 years. Moreover, let me make it a bit more clear. As the Bodhisattva, in the future, leaders of nations, Brahmas, and others may, upon encountering ancient Buddhist stupas and monasteries, or sutras and images that are damaged, decaying, or broken, resolve to restore them, volunteer to repair or reconstruct Buddha images and temples. Those leaders and good people may then do so themselves or encourage others. When he cannot make it happen himself, he will gather the strength of as many as hundreds of thousands of people so that everyone repairs the temple together to help and thereby establish affinities. You donate a little and he donates a little. Everyone develops affinities with the Dharma. Those leaders and good people will become well-turning kings. If the well-turning kings took a step further to cultivate, he will achieve Buddhahood for hundreds of thousands of successive lives, and those who made offerings with them will later be leaders of small nations for as many lives. If they resolve to dedicate that merit toward others, the Dharma realm and living beings before the stupas or monasteries, then based on that limitless and unbounded future reward, those leaders, good people, and their helpers will all eventually complete the path to Buddhahood. Moreover, also in the future, leaders of nations, Brahmins, and others may have compassionate thoughts upon seeing the old, the sick, or women in childbirth, and may provide them with medicinal herbs, food, drink, and bedding so as to make them peaceful and comfortable. The blessings and benefits derived from doing that are quite inconceivable. For 1,000 eons, they will always be lords of the pure dwelling heavens. For 200 eons, they will be lords in the 6 desire heavens, and they will ultimately attain Buddhahood. They will never fall into the evil paths, and for hundreds of thousands of lives, they will hear no sounds of suffering. Moreover, also, if in the future leaders of nations, Brahmins, and others can give in that way, they will receive limitless blessings. If in addition they are able to dedicate that merit, be it great or small, they will ultimately attain Buddhahood. How much more easily will they be able to attain the rewards of becoming Shakra, Brahma, or a well-standing king? Therefore, Astor, you should urge beings everywhere to learn to give in those ways. Commentary. Moreover, Astor, in the future, leaders of nations, the most powerful Brahmins and others may have a compassionate thoughts, not just a bit of compassion, but great perfected compassion, upon seeing the old, the sick, or women in childbirth, and may provide them with medicinal herbs, food, drink, and bedding, or some money, so as to make them peaceful and comfortable in times of utter discomfort. The blessings and benefits derived from doing that are quite inconceivable. For 1,000 years, there will always be lords of the pure dwelling heavens. For 200 great years, they will be lords in the 6 desire heavens, and they will ultimately attain Buddhahood. They will never fall into the 3 evil paths, and for hundreds of thousands of lives, they will hear no sounds of suffering. Moreover, let me describe in detail Astor Bodhisattva. If in the future leaders of nations, Brahmins, and others can give in that way, the way that was described earlier, they will receive limitless blessings. If in addition they are able to dedicate that merit to the Dharma realm and all beings, be it great or small, no matter the quantity, they will ultimately attain Buddhahood. How much more easily will they be able to attain the rewards of becoming Shakra, Brahma, or a well-standing king? Therefore, Astor, you should urge beings everywhere to learn to give generously in those ways. Sutra. Moreover, Astor, in the future, if good men or women manage to plant only a few good roots within the Buddha Dharma, equivalent to no more than a strand of hair, a grain of sand, or a mote of dust, they will receive incomparable blessings and benefits. Moreover, Astor, in the future, good men or women, upon encountering images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Rateka Buddhas, or well-standing kings, may give gifts or make offerings to them. Such persons will obtain limitless blessings and will always enjoy supremely wonderful bliss among people and gods. If they can dedicate that merit to the Dharma realm, their blessings and benefits will be beyond compare. Moreover, Astor, in the future, good men or women, upon encountering great vehicle sutras, or upon hearing but a single gather or sentence of them, may be inspired to praise, venerate, give gifts, and make offerings to them. Those people will obtain great limitless and unbounded rewards. If they can dedicate that merit to the Dharma realm, their blessings will be beyond compare. Commentary. Moreover, Shakyamuni Buddha said, let me tell you more. Astor Bodhisattva in the future, if good men or women manage to plant only a few good roots within the Buddha Dharma, no need to sow much, just a small quantity. How much? An amount equivalent to no more than a strand of hair, a grain of sand, or a mote of dust, a most minute amount. They will receive incomparable and ineffable blessings and benefits. Moreover, Astor Bodhisattva, let me tell you again, in the future, good men or women, if a man or women who have taken the 5 precepts and the 10 good deeds, upon encountering images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, practical Buddhas, or well-standing kings, may give gifts or make offerings to them. Such persons will obtain limitless blessings and will always enjoy supremely wonderful bliss among people and gods, always enjoying the most happiness among the pupils or the heavens. If they can dedicate that merit to the Dharma realm, their blessings and benefits will be beyond compare, beyond words and beyond analogies. Moreover, let me explain this in more detail. As Bodhisattva, in the future, good men or women, upon encountering great vehicle sutras such as the Earth-Star Sutra, the Shuragama Sutra, the Vows Sutra, and the Dharma Flower Sutra, considering all these Mahayana sutras we have encountered, all of you must have gurus. Those without gurus cannot even hear the names of such Mahayana sutras. Count up on the people in the world who do not understand Buddhism and have not heard of the names of Mahayana sutras. How many are there? Some run away after listening once. Why? They do not have these gurus. When I was eating lunch, I told all of you, do not think you are Americans. Many of you were actually Chinese who came to the United States. You made vows in lives past that you will help me propagate the Buddha Dharma. Look at my disciple. He looks Chinese because he had not forgotten the causes and conditions of his past lives. Similarly, this is why he is especially interested in Chinese and will be marrying a Chinese woman. Since you have not acquired the heavenly eye, you do not know the connections here. If you were to have it, you would know how things are. Or upon hearing but a single gather or sentence of the Mahayana Sutras, the sixth patriarch, for instance, heard this sentence, one's mind should abide nowhere, and became enlightened instantly. One may, inspired, earnest, and respectful, one thinks, this sutra is truly excellent. I will definitely study this sutra diligently and respect the Buddha Dharma. So praise, venerate the Buddha Dharma is truly difficult to encounter for hundreds and thousands of years. So and so, for example, knows to say, the unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of years. Before his lectures, an indicator of his wisdom, I have been observing his words and actions. He chases away the guest dust, which is not an easy task. Give gifts and make offerings to them and respect the great vehicle sutras. So and so, for example, bows to the Mahayana Sutra. Wonderful Dharma Flower Sutra, it is an inconceivable state to be making offerings to Mahayana Sutras. Those people will obtain great limitless and unbounded rewards, the greatest reward being future Buddhahood. If they can, without a trace of selfishness, transfer this kind of merit to all beings throughout the Dharma realm, their blessings will be beyond compare. It will be impossible to tell all of them, even through analogies. Sutra. Moreover, also in the future, good men or women, upon encountering new Buddhist stupas, monasteries, or sutras of the great vehicle, may give gifts and make offerings to them, gaze at them in worship, and respectfully make praises with joined palms. Upon encountering old stupas, monasteries, or sutras, or those that have been destroyed or damaged, they may either do the repairing and rebuilding themselves or encourage others to help them. Those who help will become leaders of small nations for 30 successive lives. The donors themselves will always be well-turning kings who will use the good Dharma to teach and transform those leaders of small nations. Moreover, also in the future, good men or women may plant gurus in the Buddha Dharma by giving, making offerings, repairing sutras, repairing stupas or monasteries, rebuilding sutras, or doing other good deeds amounting to no more than a strand of hair, a mote of dust, a grain of sand, or a drop of water, merely by transferring the merit from such deeds to the Dharma realm. The merit and virtue that those people will create will cause them to enjoy superior and wonderful bliss for hundreds of thousands of lives. But if they dedicate the merit only to their immediate or extended families or to their own personal benefit, then the rewards received will be only 3 lives of happiness. By giving up one, a 10,000-fold reward is obtained. So it is as though the circumstances involved in the causes and conditions of giving others. Commentary. Moreover, let me tell you once again, as the Bodhisattva, in the future, good men or women, upon encountering new Buddhist stupas, monasteries, or sutras of the Great Vehicle, may give gifts and make offerings to them, gaze at them in worship, bow and praise the triple jewel, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and respectfully make praises with joined palms upon encountering old stupas, monasteries, or sutras, or those that have been destroyed or damaged. They may either do the repairing and rebuilding themselves if they have the money or strength to do it alone, or encourage others to help them. People like this and those who help will become leaders of small nations for 30 successive lives. The donors who wish to become emperors of small empires will, if they had donated to building stupas or temples. Conversely, those who had not may not have their wish come true. People who contribute dana will always be wilsoning kings who use the good dharma, such as the 5 precepts, the 10 good deeds, and others, to teach and transform those leaders of small nations. Moreover, as the Bodhisattva, in the future, good men or women may plant good roots in the Buddha Dharma by giving, making offerings, repairing stupas or monasteries, rebuilding sutras, mend the sutras when they are damaged, or doing other good deeds amounting to no more than a shred of hair, a mote of dust, a grain of sand, or a drop of water. Merely by transferring the merit from such deeds to the Dharma realm, the merit and virtue that those people will create will cause them to enjoy superior and wonderful bliss for hundreds of thousands of lives. But if they dedicate the merit only to their immediate or extended families or to their own personal benefit, then the rewards received will be only 3 lives of happiness. By giving up one, a 10,000-fold reward is obtained. Receiving a 10,000-fold reward for giving away a penny. So it is us, the Bodhisattva, you must know the circumstances involved in the causes and conditions of giving others. The blessings that resound are just as described earlier.